right, and I believe we are live. Welcome, all players from across the globe, to our show. Today, I'm joined once more by Taye. Taye, how you been doing, man?
I'm good, bro. Came
Mhm.
back from work. The weather's nice outside. I think we're kind of getting into that. You know, we're leaving the cold behind and the storms and the rains. So good vibes. Everyone's
Oh,
happy.
oh, you guys are heading into like a summer type season,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah. It's like maybe like a few months ago, or a month or two
Hmm.
ago, you had to wear your jacket to work. Now you're sweating in your jacket.
Yeah, I feel
So
it.
the changes here.
Okay, like that's curious because we're in exact opposite in the sense that we headed into winter now. Like we're leaving like the nice warm sunny weather, and it's raining more, and it's gloomier for longer. So 6 o'clock it's still dark, and 6 o'clock in the evening it also starts getting dark much quicker. So yeah, we're sort of like opposites. We're crossing each other. So yeah, our weather's a little bit not doom and gloom, but like yeah, it's that mildness that comes with winter before the cold.
Well, our winter is like November, December.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Summer's obviously
Oh
like
wow,
May,
ours is
June,
now
July.
April. Mm,
Yeah, I think I remember that from being in. I think Brazil might be similar as well. They
yeah.
have a different summer. I know Africa does. A lot of places in Africa does as well.
Hmm. Yeah, man. But okay, cool. But aside from the small talk and the chit chat, what you been playing, man?
Sorry about that. Nothing, but I was really close to downloading South of Midnight and playing it. I
Hmm.
also was considering downloading Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy. South of Midnight is a short game, so I did want to
Yeah.
give it a shot. Um, I was thinking around, this. I thought I wanted to get this patch at some point. I probably would have gotten this patch until I saw that was coming to Xbox and Play Anywhere. And I
Yeah.
told you, listen, you put Play Anywhere on some, I'm buying it. If it's
Yeah.
an interest, like I'll buy on your platform if it's Play Anywhere, and end of story. So now rather than getting it on, Steam or whatever it is, I'm gonna get on
Hmm.
Xbox, but that's not gonna be until a couple of months. So
Oh,
nothing
okay.
I'm playing right now, just probably South of Midnight, and maybe even play with you during the weekend, Space
Hmm.
Marine 2 or something like that. But yeah, there's no real game I'm looking to play, even though people would argue like, "Yo, Crimson Desert is here." Nope, not for me. Open world games, big, huge open world games are just not for me anymore. I'm done
Yeah.
with that.
Now we're gonna get into Crimson Desert. You know I have thoughts. I have thoughts and no prayers for that game, but a lot of thoughts. So it's funny that you mentioned South of Midnight because I see it is here. It's on our itinerary. It's on our agenda. Ladies and gents, you guys will forgive me. It is Wednesday, and I'm on my what do you call it? On my beach chair. So I'm leaning back in the most unprofessional a sitting position imaginable. So no camera today. But yeah, so South of Midnight is on our list, and the reason we're bringing up South of Midnight is because something eventful happened when it comes to South of Midnight. I believe it was today, Tai, that South of Midnight launched on PlayStation.
Yes, I think it was today actually,
Mhm.
which is good. I'm happy for it, and I think South of Midnight is gonna out of all the Xbox games out there that was going to need some kind of multi-platform strategy. South of Midnight
Yeah.
was definitely one of those games. To be
So I'm
honest,
just yeah South of Midnight. I'm just checking if it's also because I could have sworn that they said it's also on the Switch. The one platform that we said that this game definitely belongs on is the
hmm
Switch. South of
it's not on
Midnight.
the
I just
Switch
want to
yet.
see. To me, this is a shoe in. If this game, and again, Nintendo doesn't make gritty platformers. So yeah, April 8th. Oh, okay. Release. No, no, this was last year. No, it's already on PlayStation 5. It was released on the 30th. Oh, yesterday, right? 31st March. So it dropped on the Switch 2 and the PlayStation 5 yesterday, the 31st of March.
Oh,
So it's
really? Okay.
that's April Fool's Day today. So yeah. So yeah, so the PlayStation and Switch audience is finally going to get to experience South of Midnight. Do you think? Okay, first thing, out of the two questions, I suppose we're already in it. In regards to South of Midnight, number one, do you see the game picking up as much traction as, say, or picking up the same sort of traction as on Xbox, or do you see it doing better this time around now that it's got as like almost like a second life on the PS5 and the Switch 2? Do
I
you
think
see those?
it'll add to the overall numbers for sure. Is it gonna do anything crazy? I honestly think so. From what we heard, it has 1 million players, right? This is via Steam and Xbox and Game Pass, with Game Pass probably making up a large portion of that.
Yeah.
I think the lifetime sales or lifetime player count could reach potentially 2 million plus in the end, maybe even more, with some sales. The problem is there's just no marketing. I think a game like this, and I know people talk about staggered releases doing really well, but the truth is when you release a game like South of Midnight everywhere, it kind of creates a vibe that not forces people, but like makes people more interested, and your marketing beats are reaching far for further out. So I think whatever this game is going to do on PlayStation and Switch, if you had released it everywhere day one, it would have done much better for sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those evidence of like just release your game everywhere. You know, it's one of those arguments like release everywhere and you're gonna get better results. But anyways, to the question you asked me, I don't know how it's gonna fare on PlayStation or the Switch per se. But I think it'll do okay. I think like whatever like the porting cost was, it's not going to harm it really. The only issue is there's just no marketing. Like there really isn't.
Yeah.
It might as well just be shadow dropped. You know.
Look, I'm surprised. I'm looking at the score here on PlayStation. I know it's only 6 reviews, but like mostly games like this on PlayStation come in lower, and it's already coming in at an 80. Is this going to be another situation where the game is it's a 7 out of 10 on Xbox and it's an 8 out of 10 on PlayStation?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a.
Look, I get why games that release later on and a secondary platform tend to do better, because a lot of the bullshit has been ironed out. It's had a lot of patches, so you're getting the perfect version of the game, right? But say a Forza Horizon 5, I get why this would be happening, but it's still early days. Like, look at the reviews on Xbox, 94 reviews, which is very impressive. So a lot of people played the game from a critic's perspective on the Xbox and the PC. So let's wait until it gets to about 20 reviews. That will give us a better indication, but I think it's going to land more or less the same where it is. I think we already see this with the Switch 2 that it's trending towards that 76, right? Yeah, but I think for platformers the Switch 2 is, I'll be interested to see. I don't think it's going to be, unless it's on some sort of a discount. But this is what Switch 2 players, especially in the West, are looking for, is like platformers like this. PlayStation 5, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's going to do great on PlayStation 5. I don't predict it doing any, as well as any of like the key. I'm trying to think of that. There's a platformer that is very popular, made by like a gaming / film studio. I don't think it's going to do as well. Bridges of Kenna or something like that.
Oh, Bridges of Kenna, yeah. I'm just going to do as good as that too. Yeah, no.
Cool. So, would you recommend South of Midnight for PlayStation and Switch owners? That this is a game that you must get or you must play?
I think for Switch owners, yeah. Like you got this new console and you can play games on it. I think South of Midnight is a very easy to pick up games and to enjoy. Yeah. So yeah, for PlayStation owners, I think because it's very short and easy to kind of get into, I would probably recommend the same thing. Like, yeah, pick it up. I think it's good. There's a cultural spin to it, so it's a unique game in that sense. I don't think it's preaching to you, as some people might think, but like it's just telling you about a specific era in the United States, the Deep South, and
Yeah.
you're gonna learn a lot about the people. You're gonna hear the music. It's a real good vibe I've heard. So I think yeah, if you want something different, PlayStation fans pick it up. I just don't think it's gonna reach out that much because of the lack of marketing. But at the same time, is this one of those titles that you really want to put money behind marketing? Because maybe at the end of the day, you put money behind the marketing, and boom, you don't actually get that money's worth in return. Not very many people pick it up because at the end of the day, the game probably doesn't advertise well.
That's an interesting point. Welcome in, Raichi. Raichi's saying we had a little bit of an early start. That's right, Raichi. We decided to kickstart the show so we can get the the easy convos out of the way. The build up. So by the time you guys get into the show, we're right into the midst of the real core topics. But welcome in. Always a pleasure to have you, Raichi. So, Taya, you said something. you said perhaps the most unflattering thing about a game that it's not very marketable. What the fuck, bro? What sort of. You literally just said that the game is not really. The optics are not very appealing, basically, if I'm understanding you correctly, for this game.
Yeah, I think there's a few things, like when you look at a game like Astro Ball, for example, right? Or even Bridge Kenna's Bridge of Spirits. They look more marketable from a maybe cartoony point of view, and they look more like your typical platformer. South of Midnight, the character herself, in comparison to maybe Bridge Spirits of Kenna, in relation to Astrobot, in relation to Mario, in relation to Rayman, she's real. She's tallish. She's not as short as them. She's not a very appealing character to maybe children, and to the adult, I don't know if she's even like appealing to. Maybe for adults, someone like it would be a little bit different, like maybe a Nathan Drake, Lara Croft. If you're gonna go that platform route, you probably have to go down that route, right? So I think she's kind of like in this middle ground where there's no real from a marketing point of view, the appeal isn't that strong. So that's number one. Number two, I think the themes of it are probably interesting, but they're not like they're gonna grab your attention like a Nathan Drake or Lara Croft game, or even a National Bug game, or even a Ratchet and Clank game. Like it's kind of going for. It feels like even within that space I'm talking about, it's a niche. And what I think really separates it is the music. And the music, and I think the story is probably head and shoulders above all those other games I just mentioned. Right now, how do you showcase that in a trailer? You can, but I think it needs to come with really good platforming and really good combat mechanics. Like to me, this game should have amazing platforming and should have amazing combat. And apparently, on those 2 points, it falls short.
Well, what
if you're gonna do something like make a game that's more of a niche or whatever it is, you at least be the best version of yourself. And I don't think South of Midnight is the best version it could have been.
What I'm hearing you say is that the main protagonist or character is not hot enough to sell this game, and with some extra steps.
I mean, you said hot. I don't know about hot. Nathan Drake comes to mind, and Lara
Don't
Croft.
you think Nathan Drake is a hot character? Like, I mean, Nathan Drake. I don't look like Nathan Drake. I don't look like I'm like he's the prototypical sort of like action hero from the 2000s and the late 2000s. He's the equivalent of like a Chris Pratt in that world, a Will Smith during his time, a who's another guy, a Mark Wahlberg. He's that sort of archetype. So again, like that's a hot character. That's like an appealing character to the masses. That's why Chris Pratt can sell any movie that there is because he has that crossover appeal. Am I reading wrong when I say that like maybe this character is just it lacks that broad appeal factor that typically you want in a main protagonist?
Yeah, but I think that's even simplified, right? So, for example, um, Nathan Drake is a man, Lara Croft is a
Yeah.
woman, right? Whereas this character, um, um, she's a girl. She's like I don't know. She's a teenager. She's a teenager. It looks like it, right?
She's old enough. She's probably 18 or whatever, dude. Like, it's fine.
What, really? I don't think so.
She's
Rachel,
there. Like,
Rachel, is this how old is this character in the game in the South of Midnight? Um, but again, to my point, she's in
yeah,
this kind of zone that to me
yeah.
looks like. Are you gonna be a Nathan Drake kind of
Mhm.
age? So maybe 30s. Are you gonna be a Lara Croft? So again, maybe 30s. Um, or are you going to be like even like Indiana Jones to some extent, right? You're gonna be like an Indiana Jones, or are you gonna be like a Mario, a Astrobot, or a Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, um, Bridge, King of Spirits? Which one are you going for? It feels like you gotta go for this one or that one, and it seems like
Yeah.
what South of Midnight did was they went for the middle. So that's number one from an age perspective. Like she's just like young. If you made her older, maybe in her maybe like late 20s or early
I think
30s. I
she's in
don't
her
know.
20s. I think she's in her early 20s, dude. Like,
Really?
yeah, like Rachie, Fuzzy, welcome in. Fuzzy says, "Yo, Rachie, this girl is like in her 20s, right? Anyone ever heard
Especially
of
looks like
a
she's from
web
college.
series novel called Worm? No, Rachie. Like, look, it sounds familiar, but like, give us the synopsis or drop a link so we can check that out and let you know, Rachie." Rachie says, "I don't, but she looks like she's from college. Yes, she gives me the same vibes. And the reason I bring that up is because she reminds me of the protagonist from another game published by Microsoft that I enjoyed. The point and click type game. You still remember it, Ty? Also, like very heavy on the artistic graphic style, where literally you're playing like a storybook type of thing. Fuck, what is that game? It's the one where you can make the decisions either in a team or a group or individually.
That's a platform game.
It is a platformish game, yeah. I'm trying to think. Blah, blah, blah. No, not Pentiment, not Pentiment, Reichi. It's the story game where you start off as like these southern boys trying to break into a property and like the cop, and then it's sort of, oh man, no, not Road 96. Reichi's on the money though. He's making all the right guesses. It was an Xbox exclusive, but it's like a Telltale game, right?
You know,
Actually,
like
finished
so,
that.
like I'm looking at platform games here. Like I'll give another example of a game that's just kind of in a weird space. That's a platformer. Is Psychonauts 2. Like you look at some of these platform games, like Sonic, Ori, Will of the Wisp, Rayman, Yoshi, Mega Man, Hollow Knight. Like these titles are coming out. Um, Split Fiction to some extent. Like these titles are coming out, and I think what's happening here is that she just seems to kind of, she's in a space where I don't think from an artistic point of view it's really going for an audience. I think she's kind of like in this middle ground that is a bit more
Yeah,
like if the game wasn't really a platformer. Let me say this here: if the game was a Assassin's Creed kind of game, and you show her exploring the world, sneaking up on people, doing all these things, Assassin's Creed, like, open world, whatever it is, I think it will fare better. I think, if you kind of like take her and give her like, the nowadays costume or whatever it is, with some bits, I think it'll do better. It just seems like it's not your typical platforming game. I don't know who it was like taking. Are you going for the Astrobot kind of people?
yeah.
Are you going for the Ratchet and Clank people? Are you going for the Mario people? Like I don't know from a marketing point of view who you're actually going for. I'm just talking about the aesthetics. As Dusk Fall is a game that I did play for like maybe
Yes,
10
that's the
minutes.
game. Is Dusk Falls? Yes, that's the game. That's exactly the game I was describing. As
But that
Dusk
was a
Falls,
but that was a narrative like what point and click game, right?
100%. It was very narrative based, but like she reminds me of the protagonist in that game. There's
Mm.
a protagonist who sort of like um, you sort of grow up with them throughout the game from when they were a kid and their father gets murdered, and then you become the protagonist. Very
Yeah.
well written. Like those games are super well written. It's a pity that they do the whole Telltale thing where there's like very little minimum in terms of gameplay. And her story reminded me a lot of that. I just felt that, like, again, like to your point, the aesthetics are so important. If you had made her a character that's going to appeal to the 18 to 30-year-olds that play GTA or whatever, you would have gotten more mileage out of the game, in my opinion. You would have gotten free whatchamacallit. If she had looked a little bit closer to Shiva from what's this game? Resident Evil 5. A lot of people have jumped on. That's just my opinion.
I agree with that. Like you made her like that, yeah, 100%. But I do think the other issue that you would have is I just don't think the game is that good.
The game is not bad. Like you guys in the chat, let us know what you thought of South of Midnight. The gameplay to me was competent. It was enough. It wasn't great. Maybe that's the word you're looking for. It wasn't great,
Yeah.
but it was not incompetent gameplay, dude. It's not a game. Did you hate playing it?
No, I haven't played it yet. I'm downloading it right now. I'm gonna give it a
Okay.
spin.
Play it. You'll
I'm
see.
gonna
It's not. It's what I'll tell you what started to annoy me after a while. It becomes very repetitive. The gameplay loop becomes very repetitive. Outside the platforming and the puzzle game, you get into the combat. The combat is literally always verbatim copy and paste. Every single time you face enemies, the loop is going to be exactly the same. And I think that's where they got it wrong. And this is where I agree with you that they should have gotten better people to focus on gameplay. Two aspects: the aesthetics and the gameplay. If they'd gotten those two parts right, they would have gotten a much more sizable audience, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree. I think if you mature her up a little bit more, Shiva from Resident Evil, whatever you said, just mature her up a little bit more. To be honest with you, I think it would have done better. But you know, they went for this. They went for like a teenager. She's like a teenager to me, but you guys are saying she's not.
It doesn't matter. Like, I mean, if she's of, again, like attractive characters, it's like, even for instance, I'll give you an example: Expedition 33. How old is the redhead that everybody was obsessing about?
True.
So
no, true, but see, even I'll give an example. Yeah, somebody who looks even like maybe a little bit younger than her, but like maybe kind of occupies the same space is Kina. However, when I look at Kina, the world is more like cartoony, and it looks more like it looks more like a platformer. Do you know what I mean? So it feels more like, oh, this is a platformer with combat, and I think Kina probably has better combat, and I think it does more with different things. Like it just when I saw the trailer for the new Kina game, I was like, oh, that looks really good. I can't remember seeing a sort of midnight trailer thinking, yeah, that was good. Like the trailer, it just didn't sell well. It didn't look well. Artistically, it wasn't done well. And I think this is part of like the character as well, because like Kina just looks like a very fun, bubbly character. Like, are you going for something? Are you going for like Nathan Drake? Are you trying to be Astro Boy? Are you trying to be? But I felt like the developers. Okay, I'm kind of over talking. Let me calm down.
Go ahead, over talk all you want. That's what
I feel like the developers who looked at Kina maybe looked at like a Zelda-like game. They looked at Mario. They looked at like, you know, the typical traditional platforming games that came from the past and said, we want to do this, but we're gonna ageify our character. And I think what you got. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm saying let's give Hazel some shine here.
Yeah,
please go ahead.
And what she did was she was one who they then ended up with this game, because I'm looking at her now and she looks like your Mulan kind of character who's you know, it just looks good. It just looks like everyone can kind of play this game. But when I look at South of Midnight, it's very, very different. I don't think they executed that art style well. If you took the Kana's artistic vision and you gave it to South of Midnight and you added more like color and vibrancy, because every time I look at like again, I look at like Kina's art style, I'm seeing grass, I'm seeing flowers, I'm seeing a very cartoony, attractive pulling factor. But when I look at South of Midnight, it just looks dull. So I think they got their artistic vision wrong.
Yeah.
What's up?
No.
See, Richie saying like probably like 16. Oh, he's asking question mark. She was for this saying she was definitely a teenager.
Shame on you, Ty.
Yeah,
shame on you. Shame on you.
Why?
Wanting this girl to look sexier and she's only 16.
Like she looks like she's very tall and like lanky, you know.
Like, but my thing is like, look,
wait, look at the world. It's so dull.
It is that, but it's supposed to be the South, right? I don't think the South.
But like, yeah, like, bro, it doesn't matter if it's supposed to be the South. Like, you know, you got to make artists. Like, you guys can't see, yeah, but like on Usher's screen, on like the screen you guys are seeing right now, I'm looking at South of Midnight, but I have Bridge of Kina on the other side of my screen, and it just looks a lot more inviting. Like it really does.
It has those how can I say, those almost like Pixar type.
Yes,
you know,
exactly. Like I'm looking at South of Midnight and I'm like, my kid isn't playing it. I don't have a kid, by the way. but I'm like, I'm not buying this for my kid. But Bridge of Kina looks like something my kid will play.
Oh, there we go. She's 19. So, okay, that's
No, he says he thinks she's 19. Mahel is 16. Yeah, okay, Rachie. That's a good point. Mahel is 16, yeah, but Mahel still has
a chick from
Club's Girl.
Oh yes, and she got a lot of attention. Again, like wrong end, you know. But I just think good character design is good character design, right?
Yeah. So I would say Mahel is to me has like a better character design, and I think Mahel. Look at her outfit, right? The orange, the jeans. It's not good. Now I sent you a picture of her Ushers on WhatsApp, and one of the release picture. I was like, that's a really cool outfit. This outfit just looks so generic. Whereas I'm looking at Bridge of Kina right now.
Look, a couple of things, right? I agree with everything that you're saying, but to me, there's two things, right? If this game was a 9 or 10 in terms of gameplay, all the other stuff that we're nitpicking right now wouldn't matter. But it's not a 9 or 10 when it comes to gameplay, right? It's more of a 6 or 7 out of 10.
I still don't think so. No. I think you get more sales, you get more, people looking at it. Yeah. However, I think the reason why Club Girl worked is because they had the right, they had the unique gameplay, they had the unique story, and they had the unique artistic style. Like in Club Obscure, the characters' outfits, they look good.
Yeah.
Bridge of Kina's outfits look good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at like the outfit she's wearing, and I don't know why this became the default outfit. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Like who came up with
it? It doesn't say anything about her character except she's a chick from like a modern environment or a modern setting, right?
Yeah. Hold on. I need to step out for like 3 minutes. I'll be back. Okay. This is actually a fun discussion, by the way. But I don't think we plan to talk about Hazel, but like, yeah, here we go. We're talking about her.
Cool. All right. So while Ty is taking a break, what do you guys think? What was your feeling about Hazel? So I'll tell you guys the first thing I said when I saw Hazel is, and this was the first time, like I think the first time we sort of like had this discussion was on Loke's podcast with Ham, Loke, and I don't know if Cozy was there. Cozy was there, and I remember the first thing I said. The first question I asked everyone is that, who is this character for? So when you design a character like this that's very specific, and the game is also rooted in Southern lore, I asked myself, so who are you making this game for, right? Because to me that's important, especially if you're going to be selling a character like Hazel. Hazel has a lot of things. Like if you gave me Hazel and say, sell Hazel to a market of GTA players. I would be able to do that, but you would have to allow me to make Hazel interesting to that particular demographic, and I just don't think they did that. I think I think when they made Hazel with the story in mind that, oh, it has deep roots in southern, mythology and things that happened in the south, like the slavery and all that there. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can still make it interesting. Um, and I think I would have made a couple of design decisions that would have made it a little bit more interesting. And if she's 16, I would have definitely aged her up to about 21, 22. Um, and then, of course, yeah, just make her interesting to a male demographic and make her relatable to a male demographic. Now, something that Rachie said, Hazel is an interesting character. She's not a bitchy character. Yeah, Hazel isn't a bitchy. So Rachie, okay, you're disagreeing with me, Rachie. Rachie says Hazel isn't bitchy enough to be a teenager, but holds enough to be inflexible. She is that weird age where she can compromise but still not. Is that worse enough to trust? What? Is that worse enough, Rachie? But like, yeah, like I agree with you, Rachie, that like, yeah, she's not an annoying teenage character. Largely, I did not hate her while I was playing the game. I think I played about a third, just over a third, getting to two-thirds of the game. Sorry, half of the game, and she didn't annoy me. She was an interesting enough character, but I just feel that they just didn't give her enough to work with to draw the sort of demographic that she needed to draw. She could have drawn a better demographic, in my opinion. But then again, I looked at the people that made the game, and I just don't think that dawned on them that when you make a character like this, you need to give her something that's going to make her appealing to the average gamer, so that they can actually try your game. And the next thing that, like, the weakest part of the game was the gameplay. I thought the gameplay was very samey, and it probably brought the game down quite a few notches. It was the weakest part of the game. Narrative was interesting. You can always. I have no problem with you adding slavery or adding any sort of charged inverted commas story elements to it. If you're a good writer, you'll make it work. Everyone that appreciates good writing will appreciate it. Only the freaking grifters will hate on it. But there was nothing there, gameplay wise, to sort of like talk to what they were trying to do with the story. So let's see what we have in the chat. So Fuzzy says she gets new costumes after the first chapter. And Fuzzy, what was the nature of those costumes? Would they draw in a more casual? And again, I'll say because it's a platformer type-ish game,
But
would she be able to attract the sort of audience that plays, say, for instance, Uncharted 4, right? Would those designs affect that and help her push her towards that
so
direction?
I would say if you wanted to attract Uncharted 4 kind of like just look at this map for a second. Forget about the characters themselves. Like look at the environment. It's so plain. Like when I think about Uncharted 4, I remember like the caves or the tombs or the bright shooting
Grand spectacle.
environments. I don't even mean it from like a spectacle point of view. They're just more color on life. Like I've downloaded this game and I'm looking at this. And I'm like, I don't want to play this. Like, it just seems like it's just draining the life out of me. Like in Clear Obscure, there were moments where you interact with like ghostly figures. Again, it looked colorful. It looked the environment. Here's what Compulsion needs. One, they need a new art director, and one that is going to look at like the things I've said, the platformers that are doing well, and say either we go this direction or we go this direction. That's number one. Apart from an art director, they need a environmental like director, someone to actually say, okay, what kind of environments can we make that is going to be like pleasing to the eye? right? And how do we like Horizon Forbidden West has more color than this? You know, I don't mean that like because they're the same game. I just mean that like the more color you have, the more attractive it is. I don't mean it needs to be like, you know, mature color. Like it just more colorful. Like Club Square is a mature game, but it has more color and more vibrancy than this. So you get that in there as well.
So you keep the art style, just make it more colorful. Am I understanding correctly?
No, well, I mean, when we even say art style, like, no, because
like how the game looks, you know, it's got this almost like a clay figure look going for it. Like,
I would say change that. No, I would say change that. I would say
you
change
would
that.
take that. Oh, you would change that whole sort of like stop motion thing.
Yeah, I would say change that. I would say make the game more colorful, and I would say probably maybe either move the game more towards a Bridge of Cana kind of vibe, a little bit more, or I would say move the game towards more of like maybe like your Uncharted.
Okay, so we're doing away with the sort of like stop motion, slow, inked picture look, which is what they went for, which is what like they were sort of selling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Happy with
and
that.
I would also say, you know, make her I don't say bulkier, but make her maybe shorter or bulkier, like any of the two. I think because again I'm looking at like, you know, Kena here, right? And Kena kind of like she's shorter. Oh my god, like man.
So we make her chocolate Kena basically.
Dude, like dude, just type in like Kena Bridge of Spirits and put it up as a gameplay right here instead. Like it just looks so much better. Like in so many ways. The environments look better, everything, like yeah, you can see why this game sold well. And I guess this is my problem with Xbox, right? You know, it's that, you know, when Xbox does something like this, you get South of Midnight, but when Sony does something like this, you get either Ratchet and Clank or you get Bridge of Kena. Like that's just what it is. You know, they just make better all titles.
Okay,
and
right.
I'm not too sure about this, but like did Rachel says they gave Kena a C cup. Yeah, listen, whatever. Sure, if you gotta do that.
Is that the first or the second?
Like Kena is just a lot more colorful and pretty to play. Like it's actually a game that I would actually prefer to play than South of Midnight. Again, like I'm telling you guys, I have both screens up. I have both screens up right now, and you know, Kena just looks far better. Like Kena might not even have a great story; it might be garbage. But what I'm trying to say is that you take Kena's art style and vibe, and you give to South of Midnight, and I think you have a game that's a lot more appealing and attractive to play. Like this is instant. Like yeah, Pixar. This is instantly. Look at the green.
I'm giving you the side eye right now.
The side eye
because she's light skinned.
Man, what the fuck? Oh god. Ain't no one talking about that. like this looks like a Disney kind of film, or you know, Pixar. It just looks. That's what I'm saying. Like which one are you going for? Are you trying to be Uncharted? Go for Uncharted. You try to be, you know, Astro Boy. You try to be, you know, Pixar. Go for that. Don't do this weird middle stuff.
Look at how dynamic everything looks. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying. And again, this is a problem that Xbox has. Their games, they just don't know how to glow up. I think that's the best. Like this game is a fucking old game, right? This is the old Kena, right? This is the original.
Actually, you should probably put up, like, I mean, we've seen it. Like this looks so much better, but like you should probably type in the new one as well, which is coming out.
Yeah, that looks like next gen level.
It looks.
That's so why I don't even want to compare it to that, because that is us just burying our poor Hazel. So again, I get what you're saying. Look, like everything looks more dynamic. Everything looks more Yeah, like the thing that you're describing. Like it's hard for me to say, but like
In Bridge of Kino too, yeah, I'm watching it right now. Yeah, they actually made her grow up. Like she's actually taller, and I think Richard said the
she's
girl
much
right there.
older. Yes, I noticed, but the graphics
She's
look
much older.
way more
Older.
mind blowing.
I think I actually think it looks kind of better when she's a bit younger. But I'm just kind of watching the animations of her riding the horse and still, moving about, and it does again. It looks good too in Bridge of Kino too,
It's
and there's
probably
color,
inspired by
there's purple hair, there's blueness, there's it looks like a movie.
yeah.
She dodges an attack and then it goes into slow motion. She parried an attack and then she kind of like does like a counter attack and it goes into slow motion again. Again, it looks more action orientated. It just looks good. She jumped up in the air, she slowed down the motion, and then she's like, using the arrows. Yeah, Now Fuzzy says, I'll take South of Midnight's art style over this any day.
No, Fuzzy.
Do you know what, Fuzzy? I have a friend who, whenever we talk about like Avowed or South of Midnight and these Xbox games that Xbox is like, yo, this shit didn't sell well, he always says, well, I like it. And I'm like, yeah, bro, it's not about you, it's about what's gonna sell well. And I think I saw you saying that, like, okay, you like South of Midnight's art style. I'm just saying that, like, from an appealing point of view for Xbox, like, to do well and to sell more copies, that the South of Midnight art style is not the way to go. It just isn't the way to go. And I'll give an example, Fuzzy, that Oshos actually told me about, because I was saying that Xbox needs to, one, change the way they make their games, and two, they need to make better business decisions when it comes to their games. And I gave an example of, if Sony had a chance, let's say in a different timeline, Disney is like, okay, who wants to use our IPs? Sony gets first dibs and they pick Spider-Man, not because it's going to be a great game, but because they know from a brand point of view, Spider-Man's going to sell better. And then Sony wants to then pick another game, but Disney says, no, you got to wait until Xbox to pick a title. And then Xbox then picks the title, and now Sony thinks Xbox is going to pick probably X-Men or Wolverine, but guess what? Xbox ends up picking Indiana Jones. And I could just imagine Sony being like, what a bunch of dumbasses. Like, they chose like Indiana Jones instead of X-Men or Wolverine or Iron Man. What a bunch of jokers. And I think the next business decision that doesn't make sense for Xbox is then they choose an Indiana Jones and they make the title an adventure action game. And again, Sony's looking at that saying like, why would you make it an adventure action game? Action adventure games are going to sell better. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously Wolverine and Spider-Man are action adventure games and they sell better than the adventure action game. And the final thing is like, they're like, okay, you know what? Adventure action game might be good. And then Sony finds out like Xbox is making a first person like adventure action game. They're like, a first person? People want third person though. Why? Like, these guys just make business decisions that don't lead to more sales, and they don't grow the platform.
Detrimental to their.
Exactly.
I agree.
Detrimental to the actual success of the ecosystem. So I get you why when you say South of Midnight, you prefer the art style, but the question is, what is gonna sell the console? What is gonna sell more games? What is gonna grow Game Pass? And the problem is, Xbox makes decisions that are actually go against growing the ecosystem. That is why they had to go multi-platform in the first place.
I get what you're saying. Like, Kena looks brighter. There's a lot more greenery. It just looks like a much more appealing experience to have.
Yes, it looks so much more appealing. I don't even know if the gameplay is better, but like, the gameplay looks good. At least this is what I mean when I say marketing. I don't know if the gameplay is good because I haven't played it yet, but they were able to show me the gameplay that makes it look cool. And then they showed me the environment, and then which makes it look cool as well. In South of Midnight, when I saw the gameplay, I was like, nothing about this looks good. Nothing about the environment looks appealing. Like, this game just looks like I don't know who. I just don't know who plays South of Midnight.
Who is this for?
Who's this for? Yeah, who's it? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I agree with you. Like, there's this thing at Xbox where. There's nothing. Actually, there is a lot wrong with your games being artist led. We've got enough history to say that games that are artist led, unless that artist is a success in actually making a successful game, that is a huge risk for the studio, and 9 or 10 times that risk doesn't pay off. And I feel that Xbox has a lot of games that were artist led, and there was no one with a business hat on to say, okay, cool. So how do I sell this? Because Phil's like, nah, we'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, successful or not, we'll pay for it. I'm like, well, no. if it stops making money at some point in time, Microsoft is going to be like, oh, what happens to our ROI? Like, when are we getting return on investment on this? And then you're like, no, but it's the art. I'm like, nah, that doesn't matter. Sony understands that balance. They understand that Disney balance of the fact that you need to have beautiful looking things, but those beautiful looking things need to be appealing to more people so that those people can actually get those things or subscribe or watch them in cinema.
Exactly. I think that's because, like, for something to be a success, you do need the art, the artists to be there, but you also need the I don't want to say the business people, but you need them to kind of protect them from themselves. To say, we're gonna keep your vision, but we're gonna do it this way because your vision is still executed. But what's now happening is we're giving you the right foundations to actually end up with a more successful title. You know, like Jaffe, when he was reviewing Hellblade 2, he pretty much said that he didn't play too long, so we couldn't really see what he was trying to get at. But he said that this wouldn't have flied at Sony. They would have switched things up. They would have said, no, get to the gameplay faster. And that's what I mean. Like, like if you're somebody who's writing a book, what's important is, you might write a book that's 1,000 pages, but someone's going to read it and say, yeah, it's too long. It doesn't make sense. You don't need this. You don't need that. You need a few more action scenes. You need to kind of go into detail a little bit more. I'm trying to turn your book into an inconsistent 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. And if you let me edit it for you and you let me make some marketing decisions for you, I promise you will become the next big thing. And I think that, unfortunately, I think that's what Xbox lacks right now. They lack that vision of somebody. Like, let's not get it twisted. Hellblade 2 could have been the next big thing. It really could have been. But I think Xbox didn't give that. They didn't manage it well enough for them to be that. They let them do what they wanted to do. And yeah, here we are.
So my thing is, again, is that like, and this is the thing I've never understood about Microsoft, is that like, at no point in time do you need to go start brand new studios to go make these sort of games for you. There's so many people that have made these sort of games, or like that that do these sort of games, that you can just go to and contract them to do it. Example being, you want to make a platformer. How many people are former Nintendo cohorts that they've worked closely with Nintendo? They've done platformers for most of the time that they worked with Nintendo. You can contract those people to come and do the game for you, or people that worked for Sony, etc., etc. There's so much expertise in the industry that you can actually reach out and go and get. But like Xbox during this time period, for some reason, they literally went and courted people that have never. This was their first game, inverted commas, so to speak. To me, that's dangerous if you're a company that's trying to compete, is to go get people that are trying to make their first game. That's a great novelty to have on paper, but this cannot be. They can't be experimenting on your fucking Microsoft dollar, trying to fight their feet. Give them a smaller project where they can do. Give them a Pentiment where they can do that. But get the people that have got experience making these sort of things to say, I want you. And again, it's not, to me. Again, maybe I'm simplifying too much. If I was at Xbox, I would say, make me a God of War. That's your brief. Like, if I'm going to who's the studio Tyre that does Hellblade?
Ninja Theory.
If I'm going to Ninja Theory, Tyre, I'm going to Ninja Theory and saying, the only thing I'm gonna say is like, that what you see on the screen, that's God of War, whatever, Ragnarok, Valhalla, whatever. I want that. Make me that. That's your brief. I think that's pretty clear for any studio to say, oh shit, he wants us to make what? Yeah. If I'm going to give you a platform, I'm going to bring you Nintendo's base platformer, Legend of Zelda, whatever, and say, I want you to make me a Breath of the Wild for the 360. Go do that. Then I'll give you all the money you need. My problem with Xbox is that they'll give you all the money you need, but they won't tell you what to make. You need to decide out of your own artistic vision how to do that. That is horrible business.
Yeah,
Like,
no. I completely agree.
I have no vision for you. I'm giving you 100 million. Go make something interesting. Jesus freaking Christ. Dude, that's the worst thing you could do to an artist. Because they're gonna
Agreed.
change their mind 10 times before they settle on an idea. But if you tell them, I want you to make me Breath of the Wild, I'm giving you 5 years and I'm giving you $100 million. Promise you they're gonna come closer than anything that Xbox has given them in the past.
Agreed.
Understand? This is just how I think. Is that like that's how I would do it? Is if in 6 months I don't see you on your way to making me a God of War game, then we have a problem. Like I don't think the guys that made what's the game Hellblade got uh, that memo to say no, dude. We want you guys to make us a God of War game. We'll give you all the resources. What do you need? You need a gameplay designer. You need what do you need? A lot of those guys have left Sony. We've got them. Like we can poach them. Is that what you need? We'll get them on your team to help you with the gameplay. But what Xbox is like, here's $100 million. Make the game that you guys want to make. Right. Good luck.
So the somebody actually said this. Like, some people were trying to argue with me about this. And they said this to me about do I actually have the information here? Because I know I wrote this down. Like I always, whenever I do, like whenever people say things, I just go research and I always like come back and like tell them to shut the fuck up. They don't know, they don't know what the hell you're talking about. But someone pointed out that like it's Ninja Theory could not make a more of a gameplay action oriented game or whatever it is because the studio doesn't have that expertise anymore. That is a lie, right? So
It is a
number
lie.
one, Ninja Theory made Ninja Gaiden. I'm sorry, and they made Devil May Cry, and they made a lot of other action-oriented games in the past that eludes me right now. The creative freedom policy from Phil was a failure. Yes, Fuzzy says, just get a PlayStation if you want PlayStation games. Xbox will never make cinematic games to PlayStation's level of production. But Fuzzy, but Fuzzy, actually, Ushers, you take that first. Fuzzy says, just get PlayStation.
What's he saying? Let me just get his
Just get a
comment.
PlayStation if you want PlayStation games.
Just get a PlayStation if you want PlayStation games. Xbox will never make cinematic games to PlayStation's level production, and that is completely false because during the 360 era, Xbox made the most cinematic games, or they had the most cinematic. I mean, Gears of War, in terms of presentation, was unmatched in that period. Instead of narrative, nothing came close to Fable 2. Jesus. I can name you the examples, Fuzzy, where Xbox was able to step up, not because they made the IPs or created the IPs. They contracted the right studios who were capable of bringing those expertise. I mean, Mass Effect was an Xbox exclusive. It was an Xbox 360 exclusive. There is no more in-depth RPG released during that time. And then you go to Xbox's own first-party games like Halo 3, and how cinematic Halo 3 was in its presentation, and in its set pieces. You go to the first Gears, and how cinematic that game was in terms of how it presented the story. So my thing is, Fuzzy, like whenever they needed to, they were able to do all these things, right? They could get you a cinematic narrative experience. There's nothing that Sony did in the PS3 era that eclipsed Xbox, because Xbox was trying at the time. Right now, Xbox, everything they try to do sort of pales in comparison to Sony, especially when it comes to presentation. Why is that?
So Rachel says Gears of War 3 was tiresome. Every 1 minute I had a cinematic. So I'm actually gonna say this as well. From a cinematic point of view, I'm like Halo 1 was probably the most cinematic game I ever played at that time. It felt like a proper movie that I was watching, like a superhero guy trying to like save the world, etc., etc., etc. Gears of War as well felt cinematic to me. For like, yeah, this was like a real war going on, and there was some good, some great cutscenes there as well. The problem is Xbox, they lost that expertise obviously when they moved on to like during maybe after the 360 era. But you can get that back. You just need to put the people in charge. So what I wanted to say about Ninja Theory was Ninja Theory has made Heavenly Sword, so that's a combat focused game. They've made Enslaved Odyssey to the West. They've made Devil May Cry, and also made Bleeding Edge, which are all like basically combat focused games. And they made Hellblade 1. So the creative director for all those games was a guy called Tamim Anton Diaz. I'm saying that wrong, but that was him. This is like one person, right? If you need somebody to help you with combat, you hire a combat director. If you need somebody with sort of replatforming, you hire a platform director. You don't need to hire like 50 people. You hire the person who basically led those teams, and then they'll kind of like offset it downwards. So this guy, he's the one who made all the the combat direction decisions for Ninja Theory. When Hellblade 2 was being made, though, he left, and a new guy came in, and I believe it was Dan Atwell or maybe David Garcia. And I don't know if these guys are combat directors per se to the same level as this guy, but you can tell straight away that when you play Hellblade 2, the combat direction is different. It's different because the person who did all of Ninja Theory stuff before is gone. So here's like the fix. Hire a new combat director. That's it. Go to Ubisoft or whoever who did Assassin's Creed, like Shadows or whatever it is. Go to Sucker Punch, whoever who did Ghost of Yotei. Go to get whoever the hell you need to get. But you bring him in. When Horizon Zero Dawn, when Guerrilla Games was going from first-person Killzone to third-person action-adventure RPG Horizon, they literally went to go hire a story writer who worked on Fallout. I believe his name is something Garcia. Sorry, I can't remember his name right now. Because they knew they couldn't write. They knew they don't have the talent to write like that. So they got a writer who works with open world games or RPG games. Then they went to go get people who worked on people from Rockstar, people who worked on GTA, and people who worked on open world games, because they needed that talent to help them make their game. And then the game they made was Horizon Zero Dawn, which was a great game. It did well. Even Fable, I think, is done that right. They hired the Witcher 3 combat director. So if you see Fable, it looks like the Witcher 3 because the person who worked on that, who worked on The Witcher, is working on this. And listen, you might say, well, The Witcher 3's combat isn't great, and that's fine. But who in Playground Games knows how to program combat? Do you know what I mean? So you need to go headhunt these people. And Ninja Theory and Compulsion are the two studios that clearly need people in these positions. And that's it. And if you get people in those positions, guess what? Something else I think, I can't remember this. This is true, but when Insomniac was bought by Sony, they got a new combat director. I don't know if it was promoted internally or whatever it is, but the guy who worked on the previous game wasn't used anymore. They got a new combat director who worked on the gameplay, and that gameplay he worked on was Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know if Sony was like, yeah, we're buying you, but this guy right here is quite shit, so get someone else to make this Spider-Man game that we're licensing you to make. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if Insomniac made that decision internally. I don't know if he just left or whatever it is, but there was a new guy involved in dealing with the combat. When I say combat, I mean the whole combat direction for the Spider-Man game. And that game became a great he became great from a gameplay point of view. I'm pretty sure most people will also agree that if you wanted to do combat and you go get the people who worked on the combat for Arkham Asylum, your game is probably starting off to a very good start from a combat point of view, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So, these are the decisions you need to make that either overrides the creative or they're just business decisions. Now, what I will say about Ninja Theory, and I think Jess has kind of alluded to this, that their next game is going to be more combat focused. And it seems like either they've learned their lesson or someone in Xbox has told them, like, yeah, this ain't gonna fly no more. And you need to make a game that's gonna be more appealing to a wider audience. And I think that's for the good. Because what I would say is that these studios who are making these decisions, they don't survive. I think like 40,000 people have been laid off in the last 7 years in the video game industry. 30,000, 40,000. These studios don't survive. Like how would you survive? How can imagine you're like an investor and you give Obsidian money for Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed, and they underperform. Like, what happens after that? Like, you're not going to give them money anymore, right? Yeah. So that's that. Like, if you're Ninja Theory and Hellblade 2 doesn't do the numbers it's supposed to do, but you spent all this money on the animation and the graphics and all these things, so now your profit margins are way smaller. They don't survive. Yeah. Like they start begging investors for money, and guess what? Investors are saying no, because you're not gonna we ain't giving you money to make arty farty shit anymore. Are you gonna make that God of War game? Yes or no? And the answer is yes. Then sure. Richie says Hellblade does look good, 5K PC, but on Xbox it was just blurry. Listen, Hellblade looks amazing to me, and it's a fun game to play. I just don't understand why it is the way it is. The director of Hellblade, I believe the creative director, I believe it was David Garcia. He did say, was it David or was it Dan? He did say, for example, that
be right back.
Sure. He did say that, for example, Rachie, that he enjoyed watching Game of Thrones, and he loved the scene when Jon Snow is about to fight the whole army of horses coming towards him, because it felt so cool and cinematic. And all I could think about that scene was why? No, that's not a game though, bro. That's a cool thing that puts you in the moment for maybe a minute, but then after that, can we get back to the actual game? So it seems like they're just making these decisions that they felt was cool or they liked or whatever it is, but they're actually probably testing out to see hey, do people actually enjoy this? Do people actually want this? I don't know how anyone came to the conclusion that gamers wanted just one enemy on the screen. I don't know how they came to the conclusion that gamers didn't want the ability to kick. Fuzzy says, I thought the combat in Hellblade was really cool. The rest of it was just boring. That's a fair point, Fuzzy, but how about this? The combat can be cool, but one, was it engaging? And two, was it actually fun? Because the combat was interesting, you're right. But think about it from a mechanical point of view. There's nothing really going on. In fact, if you took Hellblade's, and I think this is important, if you took Hellblade's combat and you took away the fancy graphics and everything else, and you attach it to some maybe double A-ish kind of game or whatever it is, that just looks bland, is the combat still good? It's not. I think the reason why Hellblade's combat is cool is because it looks cool, and the transitions are great. But from a depth point of view, it's completely bare bones. It does nothing whatsoever. You attack a specific way, you can dodge here and there, that's fine. Then you have to wait for the enemy to attack, and then maybe you can counterattack by throwing things back. It's very boring. There's no dynamism. There's no okay, there's three enemies coming towards me, so I need to focus, I need to dodge better, I need to understand the landscape, I need to guard break him and then kick him, then charge him. There's none of that actual engagement with the actual game. It's just I have to fight this one guy, and that's it. Now let's do the same dance over and over again. There's nothing else. There's no special abilities. There's no combat tree. I know some people might not like that, but combat trees are good because it keeps the player invested. I see if I put points here and points here, I have the special ability. These are things that keeps you wanting to play. Like these are game design choices that are proven. And to take that away from your game, it's almost like think about like Street Fighter, like any other fighting game, right? It was actually fighting games that actually did this. Most fighting games just kind of had most games just kind of had like a hit attack button, like think about like maybe one of those old school side scroll games. You press that button, you attack, attack. Then Street Fighter comes out, and then the glitch happens, and then when the glitch happens, people start doing combos. Then it's like, oh, if you do combos and then you include special abilities, and then you give people more like special abilities, they get more invested within that character, and it adds a level of complexity that people like. So now when you play, like, let's say like a God of War, whatever it is, there are combos, there are special abilities that you can like do, like, via the skill tree. All these things, like these, forget about making the game good and more interesting. These are design choices that it just keeps you more engaged within that product. And again, Hellblade just said, yeah, we ain't gonna do that. It's like, okay, like I want to know how that discussion happened. How like someone says like, okay, but we're taking all these things out, which is gonna make the game not as fun or as interesting. Why are we doing this again? And the developer says, because we just don't want to do it. We know it might lead to less sales or a low Metacritic or whatever it is. People might get bored of it quick, but we don't care. We just want to do it this way. Like that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how this happened.
No, a lot of those decisions don't make any sense, Ty, because to your point, like at this point, Xbox on the re-up, so they're looking, because the complaint from Xbox, from the Xbox One era, is that they had nothing to match up with Sony's AAA offering. So they went and they bought Ninja Theory, they went and bought all these studios. The reasoning behind them buying those studios, if I remember, that showcase or that E3 back in 2017, 2018, was that now we finally have an answer to these games for the longest time from Sony that we couldn't answer to. So fast forward a little bit back, towards the 2020s, and now they have the studios to do this shit. They go make all these artsy fartsy projects, including Halo fucking Infinite, which is not what was promised in 2017, 2018 when it comes to shipping. It's like all these projects seem like games from a studio that's never done this before, that's still trying shit out. And I was like, what? Like, my man, like, I'm not expecting you guys who did the 360 to still be finding your feet at this point. You know where you fucked up. You know what you have to correct. Instead, I'm getting a whole bunch of like, well, we're still trying out shit games. Where Sony's just giving you still the same bangers that they were giving you on the PS4. So it's like, what? What have we learned? Like, how is this going to slow Sony down in any way or affect their business in any way from the, in terms of market share? Nothing.
The biggest this is kind of stepping away from what Richie says. I like the combat, but it needs a hardcore mode. It needs better combat and an arena mode. Yes, you're right. It needs an arena combat. And Fuzzy says it needed to have some more normal combat to go along with the cinematic fight scenes. Yeah, but even like the gameplay itself also needs to be better. There needs to be more things to do. The game also needs to be faster. And like some people say, oh, the slowness is kind of the artistic vision. When a game is like faster and has combos and all these, maybe I'm just over speaking now, but there's a lot more that they could have done to make the game more appealing to people, and they just didn't, which is a shame. To the Xbox point, I think, like I said, the issue that I've always had is not always had, but that you kind of see on a wider scale is that, like I said, Sony will give you, Bridge of Kina, which is like a Bridge of Kina game, and Xbox will give you a South of Midnight, which is gonna do lower and not do as well. someone will give you God of War Ragnarok, and Xbox will give you like a Hellblade 2 in the end, right? Someone will give you Xbox will give you Indiana Jones, and someone will give you Wolverine or Spider Man. And listen, you guys can say like Indiana Jones is better overall than maybe a Wolverine game. That's true. But Insomniac are really good at making video games, and I think the most important thing is that like a Wolverine IP is going to sell more anyway. It's gonna do better, and the more these games do better, the more revenue you get, which you can then use to reinvest in yourself, or use to go get whatever timed exclusives or whatever it is, and which also grows your ecosystem, which means you get more of a 30% cut, which means you have more resources to play with. Like it's just like it's just business strategy, being clever, and I think listen, if you listen to some of these Xbox podcasters who are a bit on the inside or whatever, it seems like they're saying like Asher's looking at these titles and saying like, okay, what's going on here? Like, why didn't this game do as well? Why didn't Avowed do as well? Why didn't Outer Worlds 2 do the numbers? Why didn't South of Midnight do the numbers they had to do? Why aren't these games selling the way we expect them to sell? And if there's anything, I hope, I mean, not I hope, but like I think the conclusion is these titles, as Rachie said, Phil gave the studios the free reign to do whatever the hell they wanted to do, and they did whatever the hell they wanted to do. But that's not how business works. That's not how commercialization works. You do products and you make things that people want. And Richie says it again right here. It says, "Fight until you die." Arcade mode. It's like these are very easy concepts, like an arcade mode, maybe even a multiplayer mode, like a versus mode, right? Obviously with improved gameplay, but a versus mode, like there's just so much you could have done with this title, and I'm just like shocked that like what we got in the end was essentially a demo. It was a demo. That's what it was. But it was a good game. Like you asked me what score I'll give it, 8 out of 10. It's a good game. I rather play it than Crimson Desert. Because Crimson Desert it's quite big or whatever it is. But I rather play it than Crimson Desert. But at the end of the day, I'm only willing to play it because it's a short experience. It's like a 7-hour whatever it is experience. Whereas Crimson Desert is going to be like 80-hour kind of game. But if Hellblade 2 goes over like its runtime that it's expected of it, it becomes such a tedious experience. Whereas I think Crimson Desert can, it can hold your attention way longer just because of the gameplay and the other elements and the exploration. You might not like it from the story point of view, but there's more meat to this game that says, I'm giving you all these tools to enjoy yourself. So go enjoy yourself. Whereas Hellblade says like, there ain't no tools here. It's a very simplified title, and that's it. Fuzzy says that's why Xbox needs to focus on what they do well and not try to be Sony. They can still make shooters and RPGs and multiplayer games better than Sony. That's why Xbox needs to focus on what they do well and not try to be Sony. They can still make shooters and RPGs and multiplayer games better than Sony.
There's a very key thing here, right? Because we're not asking, like Rachie, think about it. We're not asking Microsoft to do anything they've not done before. For you to be able to get the games that you need for your platform, you don't even need to have the skills to do it. They proved that by buying Bethesda. So if they were short on RPGs, all of a sudden they've got an RPG influx that can compete with whatever the industry has to offer. The problem is the vision in terms of what you're trying to do. And as much as people loved Phil Spencer as a darling, his vision for games, actual games, was shit. Because his vision was that do whatever you like as a developer, and then that's the next thing. That's not how gaming works. You still need to have a product at the center of that. You need to have a good product, which is what Sony does. Sony, the whole reason they make movie type games is because they know that those games are the games that have the most tractions with their audience. So they know that, well, you playing the movie like game, like Uncharted 4, guess what? Your girlfriend wants to watch you play that game, which incentivizes you to play the game longer. What is the incentive of fucking playing South of Midnight for anyone that's involved in that process? Nothing. What is the incentive of playing freaking Avowed for anyone that's involved in the process? Nothing. None of the games offer the fans and the people who they might be gaming with any incentive to play the games. There's nothing about their games in terms of value proposition that's interesting. And Hellblade is case in point, the proof of that, because they had all the graphics power and whatever, and then they made a mental illness simulator. That's what they did. They took the most powerful engine in the world and they made a mental illness simulator. Great concept, great idea, but who the freaking hell wants to play that?
To what you say, Richie, about like, the Xbox needs to focus on what you do best. Yeah, 100%. Double down on what you do best. But as also said, they went to go buy Bethesda. Like, you can go acquire these studios that can help you. But when I talk about Hellblade 2, I'm not really saying, because they already have the skill tech to make a cinematic game, like Hellblade 1 and 2, or Hellblade 2 in particular is a very cinematic game. But I'm just saying, what happens to the gameplay? Do you know what I mean? Like, what happened to the actual gameplay? I guess I can round off with this. In whatever what you want to do, like whatever title you want to make or game you want to make, be the best version of yourself. Your game could be very artistic, but be the best version of yourself. So I could look at, let's say, The Last of Us, and I felt like they wanted to go for a cinematic experience, right, which was a game. And I think they did perfectly in making a cinematic title or a game feel cinematic. Like, it was still a game. Like, I knew this was a game, but damn, it felt like I was, playing a movie or whatever, right? And I enjoyed it thoroughly. I think God of War did that well enough as well. I think Astrobot did that well enough as well. I think so does Mario. I think even Breath of the Wild does that really well as well. The problem that I say with like titles like South of Midnight and maybe Hellblade, Fuzzy, is that I don't think South of Midnight is the best version of itself, because I think a game could be so much better. And I don't think Hellblade 2 is the best version of itself, because it can be so much better too as well. And the same goes for Starfield. I played Starfield and I said, was this the best you could have done? There's no map. There's so many loading screens. I can't go from planet to planet within a solar system. The inventory is not great. I mean, like I play Starfield and I think to myself, like, yeah, this is not the best version of this game. This feels like this feels like you have great ideas, but they're not really fully cooked. And I think that's the issue that I've kind of seen with some of these Xbox titles so far.
I mean, I'm just looking at the 360s, like, who's who. Number 19 is Reyes Viva Pinata, which was like by many people, that was like their game of the generation when it comes to gameplay. 18 is Lost Odyssey, probably the closest thing you'll ever get to playing a Final Fantasy game in modern times. Number 17 was Dead Rising, another classic at the time, zombie shooter when they were not that popular. Geometry Wars, super unique, super different, but at the same time, something that mainstream players wanted. Ninja Gaiden 2, something that they couldn't even resurrect now. Braid, everybody knows Braid, indie classic, forever associated with Xbox. Crackdown was supposed to be the successor to like the GTA series, and it did fantastic during that era. Forza Motorsport, this is now Motorsport 3, another classic. Left 4 Dead 4 was like, again, this was an exclusive. It wasn't available, I think, on PlayStation at the time. Left 4 Dead, and then later on Left 4 Dead 2. Limbo, Rock Band, Elder Scroll Oblivion, that was a year's exclusive. Bioshock, another game that came out a year before and was exclusive. Fable 2. Grand Theft Auto 4 had exclusive content to the Xbox. Modern Warfare 4 had exclusive content to the Xbox. Mass Effect 3, the original Mass Effect, and it's at number 3 here, was an exclusive to the Xbox 360. Gears of War 2, the reason why I bought a 360 in the first place, was number 2 and was probably the best looking game during that entire generation for that time. And um, Halo 3 being number 1. Look at this lineup of 20 games from the Xbox that just they exceeded every metric. They were better than everything that was offered during that generation, and they landed that sort of like if you're a player of video games, you wanted to have those games as part of your console that you bought. If I had to compare that to what we got in terms of the offerings from the series consoles, none of those games are a must get. None of those games tell you that you need to own an Xbox.
Mm. Like an example, like I just mentioned to Rachel, well, he was talking about like what Xbox does well is Sea of Thieves, right? Sea of Thieves is a game that Xbox does really well, great franchise. Like it's like Sea of Thieves gets so much props for what it is. However, it wasn't like that in 2017 when it released.
No, it wasn't. Yeah.
So that's another example of a game that didn't really that wasn't its best version of itself. Now you can say it's its best version of itself. Or you could say it's even like far superior than its best version of itself, but it wasn't like that upon release.
And then the key thing to that, Ty, is that it's by the time the game has now inverted commas its best version of itself, it's coming out on PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So fuck you who bought it day one on Xbox. Like, and it's things like that. Like, for me,
like Starfield is the perfect example of that. Listen, I said it here to many people. I said it here on this podcast. I don't mean in like in an Xbox or positive or Xbox negative or PlayStation positive or PlayStation negative way. I think the version of Starfield coming out, the premium edition, that gives you all the new that gives you all the DLCs,
yeah,
including all the previous improvements and advancements with the new ones. Like it's an amazing. I think it's a great deal for that for everything for that game for what you're getting. And I made a post on the Starfield subreddit saying like, "Yo, this is actually a fantastic deal." And everyone agreed with the same thing. Now some people were like, "Yeah, I know," but when I bought it, 2 years ago, like that's not what I got, and it's true.
Exactly.
Because if this version of Starfield had come out in 2023, like damn, like it would have been received so much better because it just like I told Oshas, I was like, you know what? If you're gonna make me explore, I don't like exploring, but if you're gonna make me explore, barren lands, okay, well, give me a car to explore. If you're gonna make me explore and maybe start building up my my building, well, give me good building materials to make it feel like it's my own. If you're gonna make me explore and you're gonna show me, I'm gonna see like the same 3 points of views every time. Well, how about you make 15, which makes it more like you know what I mean? Like be the best version of yourself, and they just weren't. Richie says State of Decay 2 was the same as Sea of Thieves. Exactly. State of Decay 2 came out and it wasn't great, but then all these patches, all these updates, now it was like, oh yeah, it's a good game. It's like, but why did it release like that?
Exactly.
It wasn't its best version of itself either.
And the problem is like a lot of these games, by the time they get to PlayStation, you're getting the best version of the game that the Xbox guys who were the early adopters and sort of like got your IP off the ground, you didn't give them fuck all. They didn't get anything from you. And then I really do feel that like that's the legacy of Xbox from the Xbox One and the Series X generation, is that you guys have not gotten anything on your platform that's uniquely yours that is mind-blowing. Everything that you've gotten is average out the gate or okay.
I'll even give you a different example. Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 were exclusive obviously to Xbox, and they rank in the 93, 92, 91. These are like games that you have to buy, that you're gonna go buy a console, and also back then there was a more of like a the culture was more, I guess you could say, manly, action orientated, more brute force. So Gears of War was popping, right? So that's what they had. Yeah. And then you move on, and then Gears of War 4 comes out. That's an 84 Metacritic. Gears of War 5 comes out, and that's a and that's an 84 Metacritic. So now
Yeah.
the quality is dipped. Doesn't matter how if you like the game or not. Quality is dipped. It's not that big anymore, right? So is Gears of War 4 and 5 the best version of itself? And I would say the
No.
answer is no. Gears of War 1, 2, and 3 probably were, yes. But Gears of War 4 and 5, probably not. They didn't, I mean, good games still, but probably didn't execute the way that, that made them like zeitgeist game. Now, you're saying potentially like, oh, we're returning to form. Here's Gears of War E-Day. But for someone like Ushers who's like, okay, you're returning to form just as you're about to go multi-platform.
Yeah, it's gonna be on PlayStation. Like
so now we might get this Gears of War E-Day game that might be a 90 Metacritic. It might be a return to form, but now the other guys are getting it too as well.
And I'm still not getting their games unless I go buy a PS5, which I'm not gonna do at the current price point anymore. Anyways, so you fucked me. Like as a person that was an Xbox fan, you fucked me. Like you've given me no reason to get on your platform when it mattered, and now that you do have reason to get on your platform, those same reasons are available on every other platform, which is why it's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah. But yeah, not to turn it into like like just because we're talking about Hellblade 2 at the start.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just the thing with me and Xbox like that. I hope Asha is really trying to fix that. She's looking at these titles and she's literally saying like, yeah, I said this again on this podcast that like Xbox shouldn't aim to be the biggest platform, or whatever. They should aim to be the best.
Exactly.
Like Fable should be amazing, Gear should be amazing, Halo should be amazing, Clockwork Revolution should be amazing, Fallout should be amazing, Elsko should be amazing. Everyone should look at Xbox and think to themselves like, the amount of content that these guys are pushing is insane. And when they decide to make even like smaller titles, they're the best version of themselves, and within that genre, they are the best. That's it.
Yeah, man. And to me, that is such a long journey for Xbox because there's so many things that they need to get right that have not gotten right since the 360 era. The fact that every time we have to go back when we're looking for W's to the 360 era for Xbox in terms of game releases, it tells you, and this is what I say, that is Phil's biggest failure. Phil's biggest failure was not cultivating studios that could carry Xbox. And even when he tried to buy studios, they ended up doing more harm than good, simply because of how he positioned those studios. But anyways, I think Ty is right. We need to move on. And our next
before we move on, Fuzzy says there are some rumors that the Gears will be timed exclusive, and he says that will kind of semi-convince him. Here's the funny thing about that. I heard something. I heard something similar, but there is some rumblings about it. Now, is it because is this like a Forza situation where they don't have enough time to make multiple versions? I don't know. Is it a situation where they're like, let's keep it timed and see what that does? Like, sales wise, whatever it is, because like all these games that were exclusive or timed, it was literally South of Midnight, Avowed, like, and no one cares about those games. But like, what does a Gears of War with a console edition, right, that has, and has a discount on it, what does that do for the ecosystem? And does that bring in revenue from Steam? Maybe, sure. What does that do for Game Pass? Like a timed, title like that, and with that information, with the backing of what Forza did and what Fable's gonna do, can we then come to a conclusion that like, oh, we think maybe we should do a time thing? Like I remember I was into Colt's show, and he's one who kind of thinks it could be timed as well. But he also said that that if Xbox was to go multi-platform, that as long as they say he thinks mid like what would be ideal would be like 1 year time exclusive. It's like if you say 1 year time exclusive, there's an incentive to actually buy a console because now actually, well, two things now, because now you're saying there's a PC, like a PC hybrid, so you get that, but you also get timed exclusives And I think the point he was trying to make there, which I get, is that, and I think even the data from Matt Piscatella said that like most people want to buy these games in the first year, and if you don't bring it out in the first year, people are kind of gonna move on. So he believes that like a 1 year window would actually keep some people within the platform, not everybody, of course, but will keep some people within the platform. I'm already gonna be in the platform, so like it doesn't really bother me. But like 1 year would be cool. I think from a marketing point of view, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like on paper, a lot of this makes sense, Ty, in terms of like what you're talking
Well,
about.
sorry, but before we actually move on, like I guess let me ask Fuzzy, Richie, and you then, if they said 1 year exclusive for all our single player games, like the Xbox originals, just 1 year exclusive, not everything back to exclusive, but just 1 year exclusive, is that enough to entice you to get the to join back the ecosystem, or to buy the console again?
I don't know what the guys are gonna say, but for me, no.
Fair.
It's not enough. Like again, like for me, I always go back to what the reason I own an Xbox today is what Phil Spencer said 2017, 2018, and the direction that they were taking, and the fact that they decided to 360 that complete direction and do something else. I just don't have a stake in this ecosystem anymore, because that's not what I was promised for me to buy the hardware that I have from them right now. Whatever they do now, Ty, I don't benefit. This is why I always say to you, like, there's no strategy that Xbox can implement that will save the part of Xbox that I cared about. That part is fucked for good. Like they can't go back and fix that part that I wanted Xbox to be, or that I was excited about Xbox, or why I brought into Xbox's ecosystem. They can't bring that back, unfortunately. They have to become whatever they become now, which is something very different from why I bought into their ecosystem. So for me, I'm no longer, regardless of what strategy they pull off, I am no longer the target demographic for those strategies. It's the people that support Xbox now that need to explain, or that need to sort of understand, okay, this is why they're doing this. To me, I'm just watching as an outside observer to say, yeah, well, you know what? You fucked up everything that you promised me as as your customer back in the day that you were going to do. You didn't get that right. So let's see what you do now. I can watch, but it's from a completely sort of like, yeah, well, it is what it is. Like I've got no dog in this fight anymore type of perspective.
Fair enough. I guess to round up, to close up the poll, Fuzzy didn't give his answer, but Rachel did say, give me exclusives or don't bother at all.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel that way, is that like, well, if we're just talking about me getting onto your hardware, why should I own your hardware? And I think there's a huge part of people that still buy hardware based on those metrics. Not everyone, but there's a huge part of the people that primarily support consoles that buy according to those metrics. And Sony has majority of those guys in the West right now. A lot of them are happy with Sony because of the fact that Sony is still giving them, regardless. Like these guys, to your point, like they've got the money to pay for whatever they want, so they will buy a Sony thing regardless, simply because Sony is the only one that's still giving them what they traditionally want. Microsoft doesn't cater to that anymore. The moment you like the strategy that Microsoft has now is so ambiguous, so vague, so for everyone, that I don't think you can even narrow down an audience for them, aside from saying, well, they have the same audience as Electronic Arts or Ubisoft. Anyone that buys big AAA games is probably going to be their audience member, regardless of platform or the sort of games they play. So I really think that's where they are. But anyways, let's move on to another, maybe not as charged, but yeah, for today's topic, probably as charged talking point. So, Taye, despite the negative critic reviews, which are not that bad anyway, I don't know why anyone was complaining and bitching about this shit. It got a 77, all right? All of you were celebrating when freaking, Veilguard got a 77, because you don't like Veilguard. You were disappointed that, what's the game? Assassin's Creed Shadows got an 81 because you didn't like Shadows. And my thing is, okay, cool. Happy. happy with your opinions, right? Happy with how you feel, or that the game has done. I'm talking about Shadows. I'm talking about I forgot the other game I just mentioned, and I'm talking about Crimson Desert. So Crimson Desert, with a 77 Metacritic score from critics, and I think it's like an 81 or is it 82 from fans, is doing very well. It just sold 4 million copies, right? So it's doing very, very well. It's still not gonna get Game of the Year, so sorry, fuck you. It's still not Game of the Year material because it's not a great game. It's an okay game. Like everyone that like, sorry Ty, before we just get, everyone that says that this game is awesome or amazing, I'm glad you like it. It's not a great game. It's an okay game to a good game. That's the one thing that annoys me, is that everybody is willing to over, just because you like the game because it's not made by Ubisoft, you're willing to overlook the fact that it is a very average game when you get to this point of competition. It's not The Witcher 3. Doesn't do anything amazing like The Witcher did. Doesn't do anything that Red Dead Redemption did. Doesn't do anything even like you can say a Cyberpunk did, because it has no story to speak of. So this is a game that is a mixture of a lot of mechanics, ranging from stuff like Breath of the Wild all the way to The Witcher. Jack of all trades does nothing exceptionally well, because not a single person has come out and said, wow, this game does this exceptionally well in this area. No, it doesn't. So it's still a very, in my opinion, it's a very average action RPG with difficult mechanics that take 10 hours to get into. But that's just my opinion. But anyways, Taye, is this as the recent sort of like trend after because what happened is that they released a patch for the game that fixed a lot of the things that people complained about day one. Has anything that you've heard about the game changed how you feel about it?
No, not at all. Because the way I looked at the game, I always felt it was always going to be, like I said, I think I said 8 out of 10. I told my friends anyway that it's probably an 8 out of 10 game. I can see why people might not want to give it an 8 out of 10, because the way the gameplay worked in terms of the controls, maybe the mission structure, people didn't really like. And these are probably easy patches to do, and they did it relatively fast. So that's kind of changed the game a lot, and people have found it more enjoyable since then. And I think people were willing to invest more time in the game. The game has some unique selling points that made some people want to stay longer, which was okay. Sometimes it's an open world game. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stop you there. What are these unique selling points? Like, I would love somebody to just give me these unique selling points that make this game worthwhile.
Yeah, sure. So the gameplay is the selling point. Now, forget about the world, for example. Like, it's a huge open world game, just like Ubisoft games, right? However, I think what the game does really well here is it gives you a variety of ways to play the game. So there's different weapon types. There's different combats that you haven't really seen before. You haven't really seen somebody do a wrestling move. You haven't really seen somebody do an RKO out of nowhere. And then you have the ability to basically, it's like you could say to an extent, it's like a Ubisoft game, but it has hack and slash elements that makes people more interested. So it's more combat focused. Somebody mentioned the skill tree and how you could play the game in one specific way and just pick this ability and that ability, and bam, you've done it. You know what I mean? Like, you just finish the game like this. However, there's so much abilities in the game that people want to try out these abilities, and they want to try them out because it looks cool. So because of that, and then the traversal, the game apparently has, maybe is it a train? You can fly, you can glide, you can use your whip to traverse as well. You can grab on into trees to launch you. It has all these little things that other games have done. So it's a mishmash of other games put into one. Now, does that make it into
Can I
a?
ask you a question there?
Go
As
ahead.
someone that as someone that's played Assassin's Creed Shadows, what does this game do better than Assassin's Creed Shadows? Just give me 3 mechanics that it does better than Assassin's Creed Shadows.
That's an interesting one because I think one thing
Okay.
I'll say that the game does that from the eye test, right, is from a combat perspective, the game has more of an hack and slash feel to it, and it's more flashy, and it probably maybe has cooler moves. Like it has strange, like an RKO out of nowhere, just like that's kind of crazy. So there's that.
But
I
with
think
those add, so if you're making a game that is supposed to be Breath of the Wild, Assassin's Creed, um, what else is there? Witcher 3, would you say that it does combat in a way that it can compete? Let's say, for instance, we're comparing it to the combat in Assassin's Creed slash Witcher 3.
yeah, no.
Is
I think the combat is easy better than The Witcher 3 for sure.
And do you think it's better than Assassin's Creed's combat?
I think yes, but there's a difference here because I think with Assassin's Creed, what they're trying to do is that do you consider the stealth in Assassin's Creed? Because the stealth is really really important in Assassin's Creed. Like I mean, like that's what
Yeah,
how I mainly play. But if I had to
but
go all out fighting, like
Odyssey, from Odyssey, it's all about just dodge parrying and being able to do like a whole bunch of combat moves. So like all the Assassin's Creed were emphasizing assassination, but from Odyssey, actually from Origins even you can go as far as saying the emphasis was on the gameplay being more a dodge parry mechanic with some Souls like elements built
yeah.
into it. Does this game, from what you've seen, look like it actually surpasses that?
I think then Odyssey, yeah, because I think for example when I'm playing like I can't really remember Odyssey as much and even Valhalla, so you might should be the better person to confirm
I'm still
this.
playing Valhalla and Odyssey right now, and I'm telling you that like that gameplay mechanic, and again, I'm saying because I've not played this, but I
Mhm,
can tell you those are very deep gameplay mechanics that work for me as a guy
mhm,
that for good combat. The only thing that I will always slight them for is that they don't really go over and above what's been established before in games like
mhm.
The Witcher. They give you a different take on that formula, but no over and above. However, everything else is so polished and it's so smooth. Out the gate, there was never issues with any of that stuff.
Oh, like if
So,
you're gonna ask me like which one would I play Odyssey or this, like Master's probably gonna be Odyssey. I think where
yeah,
this one shines from a gameplay point of view is there is many options to do things, right? So again, like I'm watching this right now. This is like a hack and slash game. So that's number one. So there's probably more of a feedback loop of you enjoying yourself. But that's just number one. Number two, like I've seen people like say, okay, fine, there's a group of enemies over there. I'm going to
mm,
do my double jump, or I'm going to use double jump, and then I'm going to slam down with like a
yeah,
kind of a special ability, to kind of kill them all. Or I'm not going to do my double jump. I'm going to use my whip to launch myself in the air and then glide and then do my slap. Like there's all these abilities, all these options on how to like to take out enemies or an enemy. I think
yeah,
that's what kind of helps there. Also, I think from a boss battle point of view, some people say the boss battles are trash, but then you have these, boss battles that like involve you climbing some maybe big monster and doing finding it different ways, and that's probably more interesting and dynamic than what Assassin's Creed was doing, which was maybe just like one single enemy whose life was just kind of going down. Um, Also, I think this game is more difficult than Assassin's Creed. Like look at this. Like, see, he just launched himself towards the ground.
yeah,
Also, I
to
think this game
the
was more difficult than Assassin's Creed. And the game is, yeah, I think it's more difficult than Assassin's Creed. So anyone who's a Souls-like person probably enjoyed that a little bit more. So I
correct.
think
I
I
agree.
think from a game point of view, and I think the next important is traversing. Um, I think it was rated as you can fly in the game, and that changes things. If you can fly and glide and do all these like interesting mechanics, I think it helps. Like
Zelda
let's not
stuff.
forget, Tears of the Kingdom is a pretty much an Assassin's Creed like game in terms of like huge open world to do. But where it sets itself apart is like it allows you to like build things, and some people enjoy that. So I think the fact that this game lets you fly and lets you like I think use some kind of transformer, glide, all these traversal abilities help. Um, Ask people, what do you like about Horizon Zero Dawn? They'll tell you many things. But then when you unlock the pterodactyl, the flying creature, yeah, that is pretty fun. Do you know what I mean? It kind of changes things up a little bit. So yeah, I will say that the game ticks enough boxes for I can see why people want to play it.
Yeah.
And if you're an Assassin's Creed kind of guy, and you're not denying it, you're just someone who likes the open world kind of structure of Assassin's Creed, I do think this is a good sell for you. Now, if this game was made by Ubisoft, I don't think I think
Yeah,
people
no,
would
what the
bash it.
shitty rate. If it was published, not even made by Ubisoft, if it was published by Ubisoft, everybody would have shit on this game. And this is why I think a lot of the people that are playing the games are very, very, very disingenuous. Because the same assholes that would have given Shadows 1 out of 10 because Black Samurai or some bullshit like that, they like. And again, I've got no problem. I have no problem if you can cite the examples as to why this game to you is blows your mind. It's great, but let's not pretend that then we have an issue with Ubisoft, because a lot of this game's gameplay by everyone that's played it is that like, well, a lot of it is mechanics that we've seen before, just coupled into this. That sounds exactly like the same description people give of Assassin's Creed, but they call it Ubisoft. So why is this slop acceptable and Ubisoft not acceptable? That's the one thing that annoys me about people that keep you know dick riding this game, is that like, okay, cool, so Ubisoft maybe doesn't have the politics that you like, if that's why you don't like Shadows. But then let's go back to Valhalla. What about Valhalla, which is a pretty medieval type of game, has got nothing offensive about it? Then you're gonna call it Ubisoft because it's repeating the same formula. So what is this game doing that is so new that nobody else has done before, that you can give it the props and not hate on it, and then hate on critics when they say the game is pretty okay or bland? That's the one thing I want to understand from people that praise this game, is that what is it that this game does that's exceptional? No one has been able to articulate this. Like, what about this game is amazing or is exceptional?
Hmm.
And that's all. That's all I want them to articulate. Just tell me what about Crimson Desert is fascinating. No, it's well, what is it like? It's a medieval. How is it different from Valhalla? How is it different from Odyssey? How is it different from Shadows? Give me those marketable differences to say, well, yeah, it does this. Valhalla doesn't do that. The Witcher doesn't do that. Everything I've heard about what this game does is mechanics that Breath of the Wild, The Witcher, and all these other games do or have, and they probably work better there. And this game had to sort of polish, trim down or whatever those things to work, even to get them where they are now. So why does this game get a free pass and Assassin's Creed not so much? Because it's Ubisoft. Then we're not measuring games anymore. We're measuring studios now. We're saying, well, we're not gonna buy the game because Ubisoft made it, not because Ubisoft made a good game or a bad game. Which to me is just okay. Well, what's the point? What are we doing?
Richard says one game listens to players that are trash the players online. I don't. That's not it. I don't think. I mean, if you mean Assassin's Creed, they don't trash the players online. They were trashing people who are attacking them, sure, but they were just like trashing Assassin's Creed players. So no, I disagree with that.
Yeah, so my only thing again is that like I've not played the game, I have nothing against it. I've never played Shadows either. But the same people that hated Shadows without even a day of gameplay like this game.
Hmm.
So to me it's like, so what are we doing here? Like, you weren't even willing to try Assassin's Creed because it's more Ubisoft. This game does exactly what Ubisoft does. And then you love it. Like, so what are we doing? Like, you understand? Like, so how are you rating? If you played Assassin's Creed Shadows and you didn't like it, then you could give me reasons why you didn't like it that were related to the gameplay. And then you played this game and you could tell me, okay, cool, this is why I like about this game because it does these things different from Assassin's Creed. Your your opinion to me is super valid, and I will put into consideration. But if you hated Shadows for reasons, and you've never even given it a shot, but you love this, and then you have a problem with people not liking this, I would love an explanation. But anyways, so that's my take on this game. Nothing against this game. I'm glad it found an audience. Did 4 million players. Great. And again, like we've had this conversation before, Tai, I'm very much in support of specifically Asian devs, because the fact that like when you have like that sort of diversity, you have devs from the West, from the East, it does create a more dynamic gaming market for all of us to sort of like to buy what we like. But that said, if you just hate Western games because whatever reasons, and you praise Asian games because they're not Western games, to me that is retarded.
Agreed.
You should praise games because they're fucking good games, and not because, well, this one is made by people from this region. No, is it a good game? And are you critiquing it fairly compared to the other games that you don't like? To me, that's important. Welcome in, Dorian Gray. And Dorian, straight out the gate, says, I'm not doing this today. What are you not doing today, Dorian? We would love to hear your engagement and your opinion. Yeah. So that's my take on this game. Is that like, look, to me, I am as enthused about this game as I was Shadows, which I didn't play, I didn't care for. I feel exactly about this game as I feel for Shadows. There's nothing in that game that drew me in, that made me interested. And I would love for one person to say, no, but Oshus, Crimson Desert does this thing so well, and they're so good at this, and whether it's the story, and Shadows fell completely apart when it came to this. I would love to see that. If you have that as an argument, I am so happy to entertain that. So please, if you do, let me know. Tai, is there anything else you want to add in regards to Crimson Desert?
No, good.
Alrighty. So Rachie says Assassin's Creed has a fan base. Ubisoft is ignored for near decades. So okay, cool. I get this. I get what you're saying here, Rachie. So there's a lot of people who want the Assassin's Creed assassin games that felt ignored. I get those people and where they're coming from and why they hate all other Assassin's Creed things. I'm talking about someone that says, well, they like action role-playing games, but they hate Shadows for some reason and they love this game. I want to hear from those people. Dorian Gray says, I support Asian devs, but live a fame that's literally shit on culture. Am I missing something here? I support Asian devs, but live a fame that literally shits on Asian culture.
I think he's trying to say love.
Oh,
love a game that shits on the Asian culture. It's basically like you love Asian devs, but you love Assassin's Creed. And he's trying to say like those two things can't work. Those two things are so different to me. It's like me, like an Asian dev could make a game that has racial undertones that I would find racist, but I would never look at that title and say, well, Asian devs are all racist and therefore I can't play Asian games or I don't love them. I love Asian games. I love Asian games. I love Western games.
Grew up on Eastern
we all grew up on Asian games. So I'm not gonna take a blank statement like that and apply it across the board.
My thing is this, right? Is like we can use the same language. Different example. We can say, for instance, Asian audiences love American stuff, right? Or American art. However, when and again, this is a very broad generalization. If you look at for instance, the biggest gaming icon in video games made by Asian devs is probably Super Mario, which is an Italian stereotype. Does that mean that you understand? You like Western stuff, but you don't care about John McClane or any of the iconic Clint Eastwood, your idea of an American hero is a plumber. You understand what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
again, it's
I
got
do.
nothing to do with the Japanese not appreciating American art for what it is, or American heroes in an American art. It's what's important to their perspective or point of view, or what like they deemed at the time was like, it worked for the medium that they were trying to create. So again, like I think if we say those kind of things, like I think let's just be clear in terms of, okay, cool, give examples to say, okay, this is an example of what I mean. But like from what I'm gathering from what Dorian is saying is that like, well, this happens both ways. Like a lot of Japanese take of what America is, which again is in uh, every single anime sort of like ingratiates this and sort of like puts it out there.
I
Is
mean,
that cool?
even like Resident Evil 5, like, which, listen, it's a, like, I think Capcom is cool. Like, I like Capcom. But Resident Evil 5, when they made the girl like a little bit more on the lighter skin side of things, which is a very colorism thing that happens in Africa a lot with black people. And then like they released like some kind of DLC or like a skin with her wearing like cheetah bikini outfits, whatever. And everyone was like, yo, like you're taking the culture and you're kind of turning it into some kind of like a joke. You know what I mean? Like I didn't turn around and say like, well, Capcom is they disrespected me never. Like I don't think like this. I think me and Dorian like just have disagreements on this. Like a developer or a filmmaker can make mistakes or they can do things that are whatever that might be seen as maybe a little bit rude to the native population, and they can get called out for it. But that's about it. Like I wouldn't say like they're bad,
Yeah, I mean,
especially when other
bro.
developers or other filmmakers have done something similar, and we just don't call them out for it. So we call the ones that we don't like, and we leave it the way it is.
I mean, Mr. Popo exists, bro. Like, I mean, and there's so many examples in Japanese culture where you've just got like the most awkward sort of like satire. Like, what? Like, you, you know Mr. Popo, right?
Yeah,
Like
Mr.
you were
Popo.
a
Yeah,
Dragon Ball Z guy, right?
yeah, Mr. Popo. Blackface. Yeah.
Yeah, like you get a lot of examples of that in Japan, but I've never looked at that and say, well, it's the Japanese hating on black culture, and they've done a lot of black characters that look like caricatures. This is why a lot of black people actually consider the Nemeks more black than any dark-skinned character that's actually been portrayed in traditional anime, is because of the fact that like a lot of them they sus. If you're looking for something to find fault with, you'll find it. And I feel that there's a lot of that as well when it comes to what people see in Western mythology
I think
today.
Jaffe kind of pointed out that like Crimson Desert has some anti-Semitic undertones, with the goblins with the big nose and all that kind of stuff. And some people are kind of like, "Oh, you're reaching," but I was kind of like, I mean, the nose and the whole liking money thing is a very Jewish anti-Semitic trope as well. So, I mean, is Jaffe going to stop playing games from that region? I mean, maybe he might not. I don't know. Like, it is what it is. I don't think this is like a like it's perfectly cool to like Asian developers and to say some Asian developers are maybe bad at making Western games or Western culture,
Yeah,
and it's vice versa. It's cool it's cool for Asian developers or Asian fans to like Western developers as well, and everything is okay. I don't think this is like this doesn't need to be a talking point.
yeah, no, I feel you. And again, like they do this with America as well, and American games and subculture. The fact that GTA, the most popular game in the world, the black character is still a gangster from the hood, and that's GTA 5 all the way down. Like it's like what the fuck? Like you telling me that out of all the like the sort of different sort of diverse characters you can get, those are the only ones that you can represent in terms of same. If I was Italian, I'd be like, oh, okay, so you're gonna put an Italian character in there. He has to be Michael. He has to be a temperamental Italian that happens to be a thief. Like there's a lot of stereotypes that work because the game is good and no one complains. So there's a lot of those things that like I've never like looked down on and this is the thing I say about like games that like Ubisoft make. No one is more sensitive to that shit than Ubisoft. That I don't think they're going out of their way to make shit that is disingenuous about Asian culture, no more than any other culture that they've represented in the other
I
games.
mean, if like I think, but that's a problem, like because people don't know about Ubisoft with like even the other games, like even with the with the other Assassin's Creed games in different regions, like the mistakes were made. Like, I mean, like they try their best and then people make mistakes. That's just kind of what happened. So it wasn't like
It's just that there was no big
nobody
outcry
cares
from
about it
it
because it's like
about the fact that Norway was not. Dude, Vikings, spoiler alert, guys, Vikings are nothing like what you find in Valhalla.
yeah.
A good, I'll say 6 out of 10 of what you see in Valhalla is completely wrong about the Vikings. I guarantee. Same with Egypt, right? They probably got 5 out of 10 of the right things when it comes to Origins, but nobody complained about Origins.
Yeah.
Same with America. If you go to Assassin's Creed 3, a lot of people disagree with how America was portrayed during that time. For one, George Washington didn't shoot lasers out of his eyes. I don't know if you guys knew that about George Washington, but that's the point. Is that like, where do we draw the line between what you?
I mean, Pokemon Jinx. Remember the Jinx character, blackface as well.
Yeah.
I know GTA has some controversies as well with the way they portrayed black people and Haitians and things like that. I guess we can answer this. I can answer Dorian's question and then we can move on to the next topic. It says, bullshit. If Poland made a game mocking 9/11 people, would I be enraged? So it wouldn't be Poland. It would be a studio from Poland. So I wouldn't say, for example, CD Projekt Red or whatever it is. But also the next thing here is that, like, if when we talk about like mocking the people, like they took what happened and then they made a mockery of it on purpose, or was there a misunderstanding, or was there like a lack of maybe caring how they handle the situation? That's very, very different from like, I'm going to actively mock the people in a very bad way, especially if it's like not even maybe in the game, maybe it's like someone in the marketing team, maybe it's somebody in a different side of like the production, because it's a big game, right? I remember Stellar Blade, I remember Atomic Heart, it had racist videos in the game, and I know somebody came out and said, I'm not gonna buy this game because it's shown like racist, like blackface stuff, whatever it is.
It's the same thing.
I don't think the devs were all racist. I think
it's the same thing.
Go on.
Sorry, Jai. It's the same thing with one of my favorite games from last year, which was Stellar Blade. And somebody saying, well, yeah, Stellar Blade has something to do with a hard R N-word. I'm like, fucking Koreans don't care about hard R and N-words and all that shit. This is all happening in your head, and then you are projecting this shit onto the game because it resonates with you. That whole thing was completely coincidental about a hard R, whatever. Like there was like, what was it like? Was it graffiti of hard R or whatever that Shift Up put out that people took offense to? I'm like guys, it's a fucking video game. Just play the video if you like. Just what the fuck? That's got nothing to do with the video game.
Yeah, like even with that hard R thing, I remember there were some like Black Americans who were. Some of them were triggered by it and they were like, oh, I'm not, playing this game, so that, whatever it is. And they were trying to like almost push it to like, well, no one should be playing this game. I'm just like, yeah, like, I'm gonna, if the game comes out and I like it, I'm gonna buy it. Like, it's just one of those things. It's splashed out, And one thing I also pointed out, like, I'm not gonna go online and fight people who want to play it or cry about this game. Like, I'm just not gonna bother. Like, if it's offensive, I'm gonna move on. If it's not offensive, I'm gonna buy it and enjoy it. But I think some people would like to fight online. They like to complain. They like to kind of like make their voices heard, which is fine. That's just not really a me thing.
Yeah. So bringing us back to Crimson Desert again. The reason I bring this up in this conversation with Crimson Desert because I saw a lot of people that went out of their way to hate on Shadows, and before that they hated on Valhalla. And then when you ask them, okay, cool, so those games then must be materially worse than this game, and for some reason they saying this game is this is amazing, this should be game of the year. And I say, okay, cool, so what does Crimson Desert do better than Assassin's Creed Shadows, than Assassin's Creed Valhalla, than Assassin's Creed, what was the one before that, Odyssey or whatever? And they won't be able to give me a reason. Like, what does this game do better than those games materially? Doesn't have a better story. Doesn't have better mechanics. Mechanics like the fact that it takes 10 hours for you to get into the gameplay loop. What does it do better than Assassin's Creed? Isn't that the biggest complaint about Assassin's Creed, that it's a collectathon of hours and hours, and like, everything is drawn out? What does this game do better than that? Love to know. I really would love to someone to give me an explanation. Again, not hating on this game. I just think that like a lot of people are inconsistent in the way they critique games.
Yeah.
If you saying that you have issues with Shadows, tell me what this game does, because it's the same genre. What does this game do in the open world that Shadows doesn't do, that you would rather play this game? And none of them have been able to articulate that, because it's not smoother in gameplay, it's not better mechanics.
Yeah, and to be clear for anyone watching this, Osh is talking about, he's not talking about like any site thing like marketing. He's talking about just the gameplay, open world, and the story.
Specifically when it comes to narrative, the biggest critique I give Assassin's Creed games, the fact that they've got piss poor stories that just don't make the 70 hours worthwhile. This game's story is worse than any Assassin's Creed game by everyone that's played his account, to the point that even having conversations with NPCs in this game is a very, very limited thing. So why would I want to play this over any Assassin's Creed game? Nobody could give me that answer. Like, I would love somebody to tell me, like, oh, this is what's unique about this game. Like, if I ask the same question about Witcher 3, just like this, a person will be able to tell me and articulate that. But no one has been able to articulate that for me in this game.
Rachel says, imagine you are mid-fapping session in Stellar Blade and you see the hard R. Your sentiment gets hurt and your lower half becomes soft and you get depressed for the rest of the week. Yeah. Fuzzy says you literally raid monasteries in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm pretty sure they made it so you can't even climb on Torii Gates. I think the Torii Gates was even like a marketing thing. It's not even about the game itself. But we can skip the Shadows discussion. Like, assuming Shadows is old news now, like all that kind of stuff is done. It's not really.
But I just want someone to tell me that though, Tai. Like, is that an unreasonable
You're able to
thing
destroy the shrines, but you could also destroy like churches and other games as well, like another like in monasteries. Like, I think somebody even showed a video of which game was it again? What game was it again? It was another game. It was a Japanese-made game where you were able to destroy shrines as well. But like, I mean, listen, it's Shadows. Like, it's Ubisoft. It's whatever. So it's gonna get more looks. But like, other games did it too, but no one really said anything.
And then again,
it's just over focusing on Shadows.
It's the same thing. Like, if somebody says, "Well, yeah, in Resident Evil 5, you're able to shoot black zombies. They happen to be villagers." I'm like, so fucking what?
Yeah, it's just
like you're in Africa and you're a white guy. Is that the problem? That you're a white guy shooting black zombies? Like, what? Like, to me, that it sounds like the problem is in the person who's making up the problem's head. Like, I played Resident Evil 5, loved it. Like, there's nothing until IGN told me there was something racist about shooting.
It was IGN that was like, Ushers, you should hate this game.
Yeah, like, and then I was like, oh, okay, shit, like. And I was like much more younger when that game came out, and like, I thought about that, like, really, does this offend me? Like, I really had a moment about like, and I was like, no, like, if I could be in Europe in the middle of some village in Spain and I could play Leon and I could be shooting the same sort of like creatures, like, why is it different now because it's black zombies and it's Africa and it just happens to be. No, it's like, why? Like, these are things that people who have these prejudices built into their head, sort of, in my opinion anyways, project onto these games. I don't look at like Capcom. This is the same reason I want Capcom to make a remake of RE5, because it takes place on the continent. They won't do it because it's controversial. And I just don't get that. Like, why? Because the zombies are black instead of European, Spanish, like in Resident Evil 4.
I want a Resident, but I see. I guess I think the orange is gone. But I'll say this: like, if you make a Resident Evil 5 game and you have like black people there, and the main character is white and he's killing black people, to me, yeah, the game is set in Africa, so
Yeah.
it is what it is. Like, it is. That's just what it is. But I guess
And
that's the
Chris is
difference
not a
between me
racist.
and some
Chris is not
people.
a
I'm just like,
skinhead,
it
dude.
is what it is. I'm a bit more lenient, or like sometimes I'm just like, yeah, okay, it is what it is. End of story. So we just keep it moving. Whereas I think some people would not keep it moving at all. But yeah.
And my thing is like, Chris, if you're a Resident Evil player, Chris Redfield. Like, that's not a character you associate with some dodgy racism or whatever. He's just a guy trying to do his job, escape zombies. And the zombies this time, instead of being Spanish, they just happen to be African. Like it's I'm very much I really want I've gotten to the point where if you have an issue with an aesthetic problem in a game, please give me an explanation.
Okay.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, not at all.
And it's the same thing with this game, is because I don't get why people are glazing this game, gamers specifically. Same community that hated certain games, not for gameplay or whatever, and they would point out every and nitpick everything about those games. But for some reason, they're willing to overlook a lot of things about this game. I really am curious as to why. Like, I really would like just one person to tell me what this game does better than Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
That's,
Any
anyways,
other sexy talking points?
yeah, man. So I don't know about sexy. Is this is Gears E Day, which is like the main cover subject for today. Is that a sexy talking point to you?
That is actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gears of War EDM, as obviously some of you know, it is going to be the closer to the showcase, and that's what I always guessed. As soon as you told me that, or as soon as we found out that Forza was launching and then Fable was launching around like May, or Fable was launching around May, then yeah, it made sense that it was going to be Gears. Now, why is it Gears? Should Gears be the one launching in May? Gears probably maybe needed more time. Maybe they wanted to get it right. Maybe they actually think Gears is going to be the bigger hit than the Fable game. That's possible as well. Maybe they know Fable's going to be launching everywhere day one. So they know like, hey, yo, that's Steam, that's Xbox, that's Epic, that's Game Pass. And that probably helps the marketing and the buffer. But maybe Gears is not ready, and Gears is going to be a Xbox exclusive for at least a time being also. So maybe they just wanted to give it more time, make it better. And they do think it's going to close off the year in a fantastic way. And maybe Gears of War is a lot different than the games that will be launching around that time. One thing that I think that I would hope that they've taken away from the Gears of War trailer, the reveal, and how everyone felt about it, is it's not just the vibe and the energy that people want. It's also the gameplay. You can do the aesthetics if you want, but if you don't make it match or feel or evoke the feelings that people felt during the first game, it's just not going to work. So that means from a story perspective, you just really need to look at, what did the first game do well, what did the second game do well, and the third game. These are the best games. What did they both do well? And how can we build on that? Not change that, not add to it. How can we build on that and grow? The same thing I'll say for, I know this is obviously not related, but Mass Effect, same thing. What did Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 do? And let's build on that. Keep the core, and if you have to expand outwards to try new things, make sure you have that core foundation down. Because if you have that core foundation down, then you're selling. It's just a fact, and everyone's going to be happy. And then you get your zeitgeist kind of game. Is it going to have multiplayer? I don't know. I never played the Gears of War. I think I might have played it once. I wasn't crazy about it. I do think they should have multiplayer. Because I do think multiplayer gives legs. I think co-op gives all these games legs anyway, so that's going to be great as well. But no, I'm excited. And I think a developer showcase for Gears is going to be good. I wouldn't be surprised if Gears is apart from apart from let's say uh apart from let's say Forza, I think Gears will probably could be the highest rated Xbox game this year. I don't think Fable is going to rate that highly. From what I've seen, it doesn't. It just they're just parts that's missing. The showcase didn't really. Sorry, the developer directors didn't really grab my attention. So no, I'm not really looking at Fable like that kind of game. I think it'll be a good game, but I just don't think it's going to be like the top quality kind of game that everyone's probably hoping it's going to be. Rachel says you can adopt dogs and cats in Crimson Desert. You can fish in Crimson Desert. That's pretty cool. That's cool. That's another selling point to Ushers. Rachel also says Gears of War is all about huge, sweaty dudes crying. Listen, make them huge, make them sweaty, make them shoot, kill, make them cry, make them do all these things. As long as you're expanding on what made the first 3 games amazing. You should be in a winning position.
So that's exactly why I got into it. Like, there's nothing like when I at the time I got a 360 and I bought Gears, which was the original game I bought for the 360. It's the only reason I bought the 360 because I didn't care about Halo. I didn't care about anything on Xbox. The thing that got me into Xbox was when I first saw that Mad World trailer. I was like, what the fuck? That's the next Xbox. And the PlayStation was still only coming out like a year later or whatever the situation was. And I was like, damn, this thing is cheaper. It's more affordable. And it has these kick-ass games. Like, the first 3 games I bought, I believe, was Gears, Mass Effect, and John Who's the Killer. No, not the Killer. What is it called? John Who's Honored or Dishonored, something like that thing. But it was like a bullet time shooter by John Who. Those are the 3 games I owned. And I didn't regret a single thing getting a 360 for those games. So going back to Gears, the original Gears, there was never a shooter like it before, right? I think there was one cover shooter I played before that. It was the army men or the soldier thing. I can't remember what it's called, but like nothing was like Gears gameplay wide when Gears came out. It was like everything was so perfect. Like, it was what you think next gen is. It's games you've never experienced before for the first time. I had never experienced a game like Gears when I first played Gears. There was nothing on my PlayStation 2, nothing on my PlayStation X, like nothing I'd played before came close to that. I don't think you can repeat that magic. That's literally like, lightning in a bottle. However, I really do feel that like you can go back to what you changed from the 4th game that Gears fans like. And I think that's what I would try and understand, is that what is it about 4, 5, and everything that came after that players did not like, that we can go back and tweak, change, modify to suit the original people that liked Gears. Same with Halo. What is it about Infinite, about Halo 4, that people that liked the games that were universally loved, that we lost? And I just don't think Xbox does a lot of that, where they just go do a little bit of soul searching, find some of the secret sauce that they've lost and bring it back into the games. The only franchise that's not lost that is Forza. Forza still has that same magic where they can release as those things that will bring you in as the guy that played Forza, the original one in 2012. And and I hope with Fable they can get some of that magic from Fable
Richie
2
says
back.
Bulletstorm.
Sorry?
Richie says Bulletstorm.
Bulletstorm.
I remember Bulletstorm. And he also says, I listened to a small precision podcast who decided to play Gears Reloaded, and the opinion of the game is it felt antiquated and it's fun, but only play with someone. Co-op campaign is the way to play. Co-op is going to really help Gears, because it's just like, it's just one of those things that's going to bring people together. to play
But
together and have fun together. I don't know if it's going to be 2-player co-op or just 4-player co-op or whatever it's going to
oh,
be.
Bulletstorm! I remember Bulletstorm. Sorry, Rachie. Bulletstorm is the game by the guys that helped make Gears originally.
Was it Gears Judgment? They're the ones who make Gears Judgment, right?
Yes, they made Gears Judgment. I forgot what they called. People Can Fly. They did some games for Capcom as well, like multiplayer games or whatever. Was it Capcom or Konami? I forgot what that game was called. Yeah, no, agreed, Richie. Bulletstorm was amazing. I loved Bulletstorm. One of my favorite 360 games, and I even got the remake or remaster on Xbox One, where you could play Duke Nukem, which was just as good. Love those games.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for Gears. I'm looking forward to the showcase. I think Xbox is going to have some more surprises. When it comes to the showcases, I kind of expect a good bit from them. I think they are the modern E3 of, like if anyone had to channel that E3 energy, Xbox would be that company. They have the biggest, they have the most developers or publishers or whatever you want to say. So I think the showcases have been doing great jobs at a banger. And I think from a marketing point of view, this is a bit off topic now, but ever since Asha's come in, she's been saying the right things, doing the right things, GDC, then you had, the Xbox updates, and then she announced Project Helix, but then she also announced that, hey, we're doing the Xbox Fan Fest again, which is good for the fans. And well, guess what? Forza Horizon is going to drop before the showcase. I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks before, right? So if that's a great game, which I think most people are hoping it will be, or it should be, that's going to be another huge plus on her resume, and it's going to just increase the momentum for sure, especially because it's also exclusive. So Xbox fans will feel great. And then
so tell me, do you believe that that Gears actually it's not called Gears anymore, it's now Gears of War again. Gears of War E-Day will be an Xbox exclusive?
I think it'll be a time exclusive.
By time, do you mean what? Like it'll only release after a year on the PlayStation?
Yeah. To be honest, this is a tricky one because before Asha came in, I would say it was going to be probably multi-platform, with the chance of it being a timed exclusive simply because it wasn't ready. Because I think maybe Gears was probably supposed to come earlier. And I made this point to people before, that Xbox would like to probably release Forza on all platforms they want. Right, especially in Japan, because that's heck, they would love to release Forza on the Nintendo Switch. Do you know what I mean? But resources are resources. You just don't have enough time. So you don't have enough time to do it for Forza. You have to pick on Halo or Forza, and Halo probably needed it. No, sorry, not Halo, Forza, Fable or Forza, and Fable needed it more, so you chose Fable.
Yeah,
maybe the coalition don't have enough to release it on all platforms as well, so they're just focused on the PC and Xbox build. So I'm not really too sure what will happen here. There's a chance that now that Asha's in here, she might say, you know what, let's not rush. Let's put it on hold, the PlayStation version on hold, and let's see what's up. That is a strong possibility for me. She wants to check the data and see what's going on, to see does maybe Gears do something or not.
Do you believe that exclusivity is something that she would strongly consider as part of winning the Xbox fan base back?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with it, but I think she's very data focused, and she's trying to see what makes sense to do or not to do. People might say that well, revenue-wise, Xbox. No, the revenue comes from ABK. When it actually comes to Xbox-made games, it's only Sea of Thieves and Forza that have done those numbers. That's it. That is literally it. You know what I mean? So, that Xbox is doing these numbers. So I don't buy it that oh well, it's impossible to put a genie. Why? Well, why can't the genie go back? Like, what is the material reason why the genie can't go back?
Okay, I think that's very, very optimistic. I don't know. Like again, I don't understand, or I don't think I have enough information to understand why they made that decision the time that they did, and not earlier or later on. So, okay, so I hear what you're
What do you
saying.
mean? What decision?
To go third party, to make their games available on every platform, basically.
You don't understand why they made the decision to go third party earlier or later? Like which one they made?
Nope. So I'll give you an example. For instance, you have Activision Blizzard right now. You have all the games that can make you all the money on the PlayStation and the Switch platform that you want. You don't need to put Halo on there because Halo is barely going to move the needle for you in the greater scheme of things. Nor is Gears or any of your other first-party exclusive games, aside from maybe a Forza. All your other third-party games, you don't have to commit to PlayStation because they won't make a significant enough margin anyway for it to move the needle. All the games that are going to make a difference to your bottom line, which are Bethesda and Activision games, are already on PlayStation anyway, and you're already probably planning to release them on PlayStation. So why take the last bit of holdouts from your library that will not shift the needle and put them on PlayStation?
I think the reason is it's when I was listening to Mags and Colt Eastwood's show, and they're talking back and forth, and I think one of them made like a speculation kind of joke or whatever that who knows that maybe Amy Hood wanted to get rid of Phil. Maybe she didn't like Phil, so she was giving him these crazy margins to get.
I can believe that.
And she was kind of like, because she's probably a very numbers person, and then she looks at him and she's like, okay, why isn't this game doing like crazy numbers? And she wants like a good answer, and he's probably like, oh well, the devs didn't want to do that. And she's like, excuse me, what? The devs didn't want to do that? She's like, Sasha, did you hear this Joker? What do you mean the devs didn't want it? And then she's all like, and she's looking at everything, she's all like, yo, like these are not bad ideas, but like it's ran so bad, like from an efficient standpoint. And she's just like, man, like if this guy was more business focused, like we wouldn't have to, like there wouldn't be nothing crazy to do here. So she's like, you know what, there are consequences to actions, so how about this? Margins are up, everyone has to make these margins now, and that makes margins because you weren't clearly focusing on margins when you should have been. And then who knows? This is a speculation that, I mean, this is not what they said, but this is what because once they said it, I was like, oh, I mentioned that. Maybe she went to Satya like literally, months before Phil was going or whatever. And she was like, yo, listen, there's that Asha chick who's working under us. She's more numbers focused. She's business focused. Like, bring her on board. And you bring her on board, we don't need to do these crazy margins anymore. Because I got rid of the guy who's taking the piss. So now I can actually believe in a vision that everything's actually going to grow because the previous management was not going to make this division grow at all. Therefore, if you're not going to make it grow, and if you're not going to make decisions that's going to make it grow, well, I have to extract the value here and now. But if you want to sum in an idea, and he couldn't because he doesn't have the capabilities to do it, but I think she does. And because she can do it, let's actually go for the long-term play and, grow. Now, that's just huge speculation on my part, obviously. But
so,
it's not a speculation. I don't think that happened. I'm just saying, like, if I was to build off that point, that's what I would think.
So, okay. So, one final question about this to you. Do you think Asha is a better manager or leader for Xbox than Phil Spencer?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Jeez. As an Xbox fan, I don't know how I feel about that. But I think where I'm at, I'll say this. Phil has probably fucked me more than Asha will ever fuck me when it comes to being an Xbox fan. Because like, I don't know what Ash is gonna be doing in 5 years' time from now, but Phil, yeah, like I expected one thing from Phil, right? Like I didn't have a lot of expectations. I expected exclusive triple A great blockbuster exclusive games from Xbox, which never really materialized in the term that he was there. We got a whole bunch of double A stuff that was okay, but we never got the PlayStation 4 killer games that we were promised. That's just me as an Xbox fan, and yeah, how my relationship ended with Phil. But okay, cool. That's an interesting.
But the reason why I think um, she's better is because, like I always said this, yeah. If Phil's in charge and you put Shu Yoshida to manage the games, and you put like a Layden under him, I think these people make they shore up Phil's weaknesses, and they end up with a much superior Xbox. You could even just maybe even get rid of Phil, or you could say Phil is the CEO, but like who deals with the business side of things is our guy with the 360. Shit, what's his name again? The president of the 360 Xbox.
Peter Moore.
Peter Moore. I think you have a great team. So because I think Peter Moore he knows the marketing side of things, he knows the games side of things, and these people can kind of like rein in Phil's bad maybe management style or whatever it is. The reason why I think Asha is probably could be better is not because she even has better ideas than Phil. I think Phil is like a creative person. I think he knows like games more than her or whatever. I think the problem is Phil's weaknesses probably are more detrimental. I think Asher's strong points could be acquisition of users and I think she's probably a numbers focused person.
Yeah.
Which means what she does will actually grow the platform. Whereas I think what Phil does comes from more of a genuine place that he thinks will grow the platform. But I don't think the numbers really back it up because the spine isn't there. So the spine isn't there in the case like, the 2 minute situation happened and he said, okay, you bullied me online. I don't want to do this anymore. That's not a spine, right? I think for that situation,
and then somebody goes and does that for an entire generation.
Yeah, I think for that situation, you need someone who's going to be like, no, I'm doing that. Fuck you.
I don't give a fuck what you say.
That's one. I think you need somebody who is willing to make the tough decisions to avoid making harder decisions long term. I think when the Phil Spencer was in survival mode, Asha is in attack mode. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Because what happened clearly is that once everything was said and done, it was like, where are the margins? And now you're forced to make bad decisions, or you're forced to make decisions that you don't want to make because you didn't make those decisions at the very, very start, or you didn't make plans that would have led to a successful situation. There's a word out there where, South of Midnight is that 10 out of 10 game that sells really well. So is Hellblade 2. So is all these other titles, whatever that came out from Xbox. Avowed has become the new like Skyrim or whatever. And the time exclusive games are more aggressive. Maybe they get Jedi Survivor as a time exclusive. Maybe they pick up, Dispatch, and they start picking up all these other titles. There's a word out there where like they're very aggressive and
and I just want to add one last point there, Ty. And in that world, I go to sleep next to Beyonce.
Yeah, but that is my point.
Exactly. Yeah.
That word is there, and I just think they didn't because they weren't willing to make these decisions or kind of in attack mode. This is what we're left with.
So the only thing I'll say is that like I agree with everything that you just said about Phil Spencer's leadership, and I just feel that like overall, Phil never like because again like even if I look at like the conversations she was having with Sarah, which was like I think this stood out to me, and I in the back of my head as someone who understands the industry, I knew exactly what happened there. Remember that whole conversation that Sarah had where she was being interviewed by some big publication, and she said that she took Phil to HR because he wasn't enabling or he was stopping her from doing her job.
Mm-hmm.
I know what that conversation was. It was Phil saying, "Bitch, are you crazy? You want to do what?" And she's like, "Yeah, I want to put games everywhere." And he's like, "No, you can't just do that." And she's like, "Well, you're stopping me from doing my job. My job is to make sure that these IPs are successful, and the only way we get these IPs over and successful with everyone is if we put them everywhere." And he's like, "That's fucking insane. We're not doing that shit." And then she took him to like, yeah, didn't she take? She took him to HR, and then she took him to whoever, and then they said, "No, let her do her job."
No, I think it's a little bit different. I think the HR thing probably happened was because his management style was probably more lax and chilled. And she's like,
You
"What do you
don't think it
mean?"
was the fact that she wanted to put games everywhere? You don't think
No,
that's the only thing that Phil Spencer would be taken to HR for? Is him not being like, what the fuck? Because he had
no,
this is okay. Go ahead.
no. It wouldn't be that. I wouldn't say it's gonna be that because I think if she says like we're not putting games on different platforms, she can't go to HR and be like, he won't let me do this. Like that's not
Oh,
a boss.
she said that she took him. I don't know if it's the same conversation, but she said she took him to like I don't know if it was whoever, but like she literally said he's like, how am I supposed to do my job? So to me, that's what stood out is where she was saying in that interview that like you expect me to meet my deliverables, but you have all these sort of like artificial, to your point, these artificial sort of barriers that are stopping me from doing my job. I'm gonna see if I can't find that interview for Friday so we can just unpack that for her. Because I think that's what happened. I think this is how this whole thing happened. Because Phil, out of all the nonsense decisions or like Phil has never spoken about making everything or putting everything everywhere before this whole thing. Like this was never a conversation. He was talking about exclusive when Game Pass was at its prime. And I remember the quote. It was, "If you want to play Bethesda games, you can play Bethesda games where Game Pass exists." That is the
Mhm.
smartest exclusive clause you can put on anything. Like, well, if your platform doesn't have Game Pass, you're not going to get our games.
No. So I agree with like all those statements, but I think what happened was
Mm-hmm.
um uh what happened here was like the Sarah's title was to kind of maybe grow, and obviously there just wasn't enough like levers to grow. And I'm guessing overall that once everything was being tried to grow and it wasn't working, Sarah was the one who was saying like we got to go multi-platform.
Exactly. I agree.
But I don't think this was like the. I think Phil did push back on this for sure. Whereas and maybe he became more open to it, and others were pushing back on it. So there was like this was like the civil war or whatever, right? But I think ultimately, Siri was the one who was willing to go multi-platform, but that's not a her problem because at the end of the day, they had to make those margins some way somehow, and there was no other way to do it. Like there's no other way to do it. It is just like you have to go multi-platform.
And I disagree fundamentally with that. I think there's a lot of other things they could have done. Because again, like if we're talking about Xbox making this decision entirely back in 2020, 2019, when they had like 5 studios, 10 studios, or whatever the situation is that had no production instead of output, I understand. You just bought the biggest studio publisher in the world. You don't need to put Gears or Halo on any platform, period. I put it to you. The money that you're going to make from those platforms, so from those games going multi platform, is negligible versus if you go and re release a popular game, even if you release a once off Guitar Hero that's on everything. It will make you more money than a Gears or a Halo can make you on PlayStation. Period. That's why I don't believe that was the. If they were making that decision and they just had Halo, Gears, and Forza to play with, I believe you. But I don't believe you when it's a situation where you have all the world's biggest franchises.
So the funny thing is, like, people don't actually know this, and I think this might have actually come out in some reports. But apart from the whole ABK thing, Microsoft was actually doing some kind of mandate that every studio, not just studio, all the margins should be like around 30%. So obviously ABK was playing to this, but it was just ABK. It was actually like Xbox Studios and other like project houses as well. So I think once they said, everyone needs to kind of be making around 30% margins, the problem that you have there for Xbox is because because they didn't have any titles that could do that on the horizon, that they had no choice but to try to get to those budgets as fast as possible, or as as close as possible. You might not make 30, but can you do 13? And maybe to do 13, you have to put it on PlayStation because you were maybe operating on 9 margins before. So you have to really see on the huge user base. Richard says, I started believing in Phil Spencer the moment he came on stage and said sorry for Redfall. What sorry? You were applauding PlayStation all 2022, and all you can say is sorry to.
There's just too many silly things with Phil Spencer. Dude. I agree with
you. What sorry? What sorry? Oh my god, that's a good one. I'm still live, I think. I think I'm gone now. But what's sorry? That is a good one. Yeah, there was too much baggage, to be honest. The whole Starfield situation, Redfall situation, they're apologizing.
Okay, I don't think Xbox, and this is what I said to you previously. Like for me, the parts of Xbox that I care about, I don't think they could be saved, and they couldn't be saved for a very long time. It just took me a while to recognize that. Could they still save the business that is Xbox? Absolutely. There's a lot of things that you could do, but you need to be clear in terms of what your objectives are. What do you want? Do you want to take over PC? Do you want to have a leg in consoles? Like, what is it that you want to accomplish? Be clear on that, on your objectives, and then you have the business withal to sort of accomplish those. But you have to be clear on what you're trying to do. So time, we are already sitting at about 2 hours 42 minutes. I think we're nearing 3 hours, and I wanted to sort of cap it there. I think we've covered most of the subjects, but let's transition now from gaming into entertainment. Excuse me, and I've got a soft topic to sort of lead us into that, and then we'll talk about some of the trailers that came out recently. So, what is this? You've heard these rumblings after what happened with the layoffs at Epic. Disney wanting to acquire Epic. Your thoughts?
This is I don't think Disney necessarily wants the Unreal Engine. I don't know what the plan to do with it, but I do understand why they want Fortnite, and I do think because if you think about the OpenAI situation, what they pretty much said was and apparently once Sora got canceled, they're actually looking for somebody else to actually make a deal with. So it wasn't like Disney's like, oh no, we don't want to use our IPs for AI anymore. They actually do. So what if Disney is looking at something like a Roblox or a Fortnite that is actually more of a platform, and they're saying to themselves, we want to inject our titles and IPs into that platform, so people can get Fortnite, and Fortnite itself is the platform that has multiple different types of games and Disney-like games within that platform. That can make sense.
But at the same time, remember, right now, Disney's Marvel Rivals is making a money hand over fist. They understand that this is the biggest entertainment business in the world, bigger than their own business. Them owning the biggest franchise in that business means that they get to negotiate with their competitors like Warner Brothers to have these characters appear on their platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I hear what you're saying, but I also think it just them having access to Unreal Engine and all these other components that Epic has, it empowers them drastically in the entertainment business as a whole.
No, it does, because I mean, obviously, you have the video game side of things now, and you have the biggest IP in Fortnite. You know, you have the Epic Store as well. So that's another like avenue that they
Absolutely, yeah.
could use. And then you also have the subscription model, which is Disney Plus, and then you have the movies, you have the TV show. Like, yeah, from an entertainment point of view, the only thing that they're lacking is gaming, like a foothold in gaming. Um, I think the only issue here is gaming. Is this something that's going to be like largely really profitable for them long term wise? I think it depends on their strategy, and I
Think
just
about
don't know
that.
what
Think
it
about
is.
what you just said.
Mhm.
Do you think gaming is going to be profitable in the long term for a company like Disney with so many franchises?
I don't.
How much do they make of, like, for instance, licensing Star Wars to EA when that game sells like 23 million copies?
So I guess the way I look at it is this year. What would be like? What would they want to do? Because if you say developers, it's like, well, you have to go and get those developers, right? So it's just not Fortnite. It's just not Epic.
Which
Epic
again,
doesn't have developers.
yes. So first of all, you have Fortnite, right? Which is a platform. I wouldn't even call it a game. It's a platform where
Mhm.
you can host all these different IPs on that platform, including from your closest competitors within the movie business, which is Warner Brothers. You have Superman on there, you have Batman, you have Spider-Man, which means that it's the most accessible platform for your IPs, regardless who wants to have access to your IPs, number one. Number two, now you're in the gaming industry. Now you can start leveraging relationships that you have existing through the Epic Game Store. For instance, you could have deals, for instance, to say, well, you know what, I'm going to have exclusive things or content for Marvel Rivals on Epic Game Store because it's our store. And now you can also leverage uh, developers, because the fact that, like, Epic is still the probably top 10 biggest publishers in the world. So if you wanted to publish Marvel games, you could do that without needing an EA, without needing an Xbox or Sony. You could even recall Spider-Man from Sony and say, "Oh, we'll license that through Epic with you guys, depending upon how you want to skin the deal." But bottom line is that it just gives them much more wider. It gives them similar control than that they have in the cinema industry. Right now in gaming, they're non-existent. Buying Epic would make them an entity as formidable as a Xbox Studios or a EA or Ubisoft.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I'm not gonna.
But it depends on their intent and who they hire to run the studio. Who did they hire, by the way? Who was the guy that replaced? He's not from gaming, right? Where is he from? Um, I'm forgetting his name, but they hired a guy recently to replace Bob Iger. So whoever's coming in needs to have that sort of a vision to see, because they've grown as much as they can in the film industry. Ty. Like, do you think there's more growth coming up in movies and
No,
film?
you're right. That we need to expand. Yeah, you're right. I agree there.
And the biggest market right now to expand into is gaming. There's no bigger market in entertainment right now.
No, you're right. I have no
Yeah.
disagreement there. Yeah, it makes sense from a gaming point of view. I guess I just need to know, their like how do they plan to utilize? Like, do they
Mhm.
actually want to get into gaming, or do they just want the platform and then just to use their IPs, or do they actually want like to start buying studios and incorporating studios to actually make games? Do they want like the next Marvel Rivals 2 to be launched via Epic? Them doing themselves. Like, sorry, not Epic, but like via the Fortnite store. Like, do they want Roblox? Do they want to create a? Do they want an ecosystem that's there already that
Mhm.
allows kids to go there and start? Because Epic has like an Epic, obviously they have an Unreal Engine, but also have like a Fortnite Maker as well, which allows you to make games. So it's like,
Yeah.
is that what they want? That they want what Roblox has? You want people to use um
Mhm.
Epic of Fortnite as Roblox, but at the
Yeah.
same time, they have exclusive rights to Disney characters, and that's Pixar,
So
that's Star Wars, and that's Marvel, etc., etc.
so this is the wonderful things is that now for the first time if they are in the business like because as Epic like dude they can license Crystal Dynamics, they can license anyone. They nobody has a bigger market in terms of like size of studio for them to publish a big game. The only people that can beat them to it is the big four, the big five, whatever you want to call them, which is Sony, Nintendo, EA, whatever. Like now they are competing with those guys if they actually want to license IP. Again, what this gives them is flexibility to do whatever they want. They can approach the business any way that they want. They can have their eggs in multiple baskets instead of just one. But now this actually gives them an opportunity to compete against the likes of Rockstar, to compete against EA, to compete against a platform holder like PlayStation. And on top of that, now they can also put some pressure on the PlayStation. Say, well, you know what? We don't need to give you the perpetual Spider-Man IP. We can continue that deal if you pay us handsomely, just like you do with when it comes to us making the Spider-Man movies for you. So, like, it just gives them so much leverage as an organization in a market that is the biggest market right now in the world in terms of growth and just expansion. It's bigger than cinema right now as we speak. So, I don't see why, if they, to me, that is a move that I would, if I was advising them, I would say buy it. Like, it's definitely worthwhile. Before somebody else does, like Microsoft or whoever decides to buy Epic, buy it.
Hmm. What do you think they do with Unreal Engine?
That's an interesting question because Unreal Engine, it's probably their biggest asset. Just continue to license it out to the people that want to make awesome games.
Do they keep investing in it though?
Absolutely, keep investing in it because it's how they actually got in touch or how they got to work with Epic. You do know that the Mandalorian movies, I don't know if any other movies, but I probably guess a lot of other Disney special effects movies are made using Unreal.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's gonna save them money because now they get to sort of put R&D. They can improve it to be as good as they want it to be, which is what they need for their movie business. Because right now, there's a huge lack in special effects in terms of like really good ones, and they provide the engine that does most of that. So yeah, absolutely, it'll still benefit their movie business as well.
Okay. No, I get you.
So I see a lot of benefit for Disney doing this. It would be bigger. I predict that if they bought Epic, Epic would make them more money than Marvel and Star Wars in the next 10 years.
Huh. Okay. That's a take.
Because through Epic, they can license all the Star Wars games and Marvel games. So they will publish all the Marvel and the Star Wars games. So if EA wants to continue making the, what is it called, the Jedi Survivor games, they have to go through Epic. Meaning that you take a bigger cut as Disney and they pay you for the tech as well.
Okay. No.
How is that not just easy money? So for them, there's a lot of benefit here, and I hope they think about it because cinema is tapped out at this point, and it's actually on the decline. It's dying. So it's time to find a re-up that's going to put you over Netflix that Netflix is not good at. And buying Epic, I think, could do that for Disney.
I never actually thought when this topic was kind of brought up, I never really thought about it too much. I only thought about it from the Roblox angle. Didn't really think about it from the angle you're speaking of. And I heard that the guy who actually closed the deal for Star Wars and Marvel, and maybe even Pixar, he was actually telling Disney like, "Yeah, go for Epic." Like he's like, "Yeah, buy them." So maybe you're right. Like there's a lot of value that I just haven't caught on to yet. And yeah, the movie industry is kind of tapped out, maxed out, and getting Epic will be a really big play, especially because you know now you actually have a platform. Like you have the Epic
I
Store.
agree.
And if
Yeah.
Disney's saying to themselves like, yo, we don't think consoles is the way to go, or it is the way to go, but we think PCs in the living room are going to be more important. And by default, an Epic console or a Xbox Heaties that plays Epic consoles might be the way of the future.
Yep. I can see that. Like, I can completely see that. Like, but you have to be early to it. Like, you have to be. Excuse me. And the thing is, Warner Brothers is sort of into it, but they're not into it. Like, the way that they've misused their studios, like their IPs should be far bigger in gaming right now. And they've misused their studios so much that yeah, like I don't know, like and again, it's because of the fact that like they've been managed by people in Hollywood. They're not being managed by people who are from the business. Whereas if you, excuse me, if you buy Epic as Disney, I'm thinking you're keeping. If Tim Sweeney wants to leave, he can leave, but you're keeping a lot of his staff who understand the gaming business.
Yeah, true. Mm-hmm. True.
Anyways, getting into some movies. Ty, we spoke about this. I want to
Oh,
show
I
this
can't.
trailer.
Unfortunately, I need to run I need to run real quick.
Are you on your way
Um,
out?
yeah, I need to go to the shop and get something real quick.
Ah, okay, no problem. So
Unfortunately,
I'm gonna play through these trailers, guys. You'll tell me what you think, and then
I
we'll
mean,
show those.
I'll be in the chat though, as per
Yeah.
usual.
Okay,
So
please, like, give us your opinion in the chat. So, guys, I'm gonna go through some trailers that I thought were pretty awesome, that are gaming adjacent to some degree. And what I mean by that, it's either by affiliation through the company who's making them, or through the director, or just the IP. Starting with Supergirl. So let me know how many of you are actually going to go see Supergirl. Is this something that is worthwhile for you guys, Fuzzy, Raichi? Is this, would you consider go watching this? And then yeah, like let's watch the trailer and then yeah.
Base to see when you think you might be coming back. I'm just worried that you're not going to find your stride here if you keep going off world all the time, Kara. I'm worried you're not going to find your people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Clark.
I'm gonna start
Back.
over for something.
I'm just worried that you're not. Hey! I was just touching base to see when you think you might be coming back. I'm just worried that you're not going to find your stride here if you keep going off world all the time, Kara. I'm worried you're not going to.
Sorry, I just want to see if it's downloaded. It should be downloaded. Don't know why the quality is so ass. Settings. Yeah, it looks good.
Find your people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Clark. I have no people. Oh, miss wherever you are, buddy.
As I walk this land of road,
Crypto and I at least had each other.
I have visions of
Honestly, I thought we were lucky. But luck, almost by definition, runs out. What can I do?
The Brickens carry the antidote on that person. He has 3 days.
You cannot give up on me.
It's the crime of the Yellow Hills. He murdered my innocent family.
Just do what I say
Quality is very ugly trailer.
and don't die. This does not look like this is gonna end well for you guys.
Stop.
Okay, so this is all the logo stuff. Let's try another trailer and then we'll get back to this. I don't know why it's so damn choppy, man. I'm a little bit annoyed that it's so damn choppy. Let's try another trailer. Let's try another trailer. Hopefully this one will work, and I'm sure you guys will recognize this one. It's just as popular, if not more popular, than Supergirl, and it's probably the movie that everyone's gonna go see. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see. Yeah, so the reason why these are not supposed to be choppy is because they are downloaded. No, not rich, blood better. So I'm going to get another trailer that was pretty popular, and then we'll talk through that. Let's see. So, aside from Supergirl, I'm sure you guys saw this. Sony made a big deal out of this. Let's talk. I'll play this and then we'll talk through it. And then we'll go to Supergirl. Understood. Let us see if our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is cooperative, unlike the Supergirl. No. But again, like, there's a lot of really, really epic superhero movies
I
coming out.
can't believe our first hit
Oh, yeah, this is working
MIC.
perfectly.
MJ, come on, pretend like you're not the happiest you've ever been in your entire life.
I can't.
I knew it.
Zendaya face! Hey. You guys know what that
Hi, my
So-
name is Peter Parker. You don't remember me, but we used to know each other. Something bad was going to happen, and the only way to stop it was to make everyone forget about me. Because I'm not just Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man.
The hell, Frank? You just hit me with a van!
Quit your whimpering. Suit yourself. Mother.
Go home! And sometimes Spider-Man has to do the hard thing, even if it breaks Peter Parker's heart. What is happening to me? Oh, God. Excuse me, Dr. Banner. I need your help.
What did you say your name was? If DNA is mutating, it would be enormously dangerous.
Spiders have 3 life cycles. When between cycles, it can leave the spider vulnerable to threats.
We are faced with a danger that we can't control. One we can't even see. Stay out of my way.
You're losing it, kid.
And for those spiders who make it through, it amounts to a kind of rebirth.
Nice flowers.
Oh, they're, a housewarming gift.
I'm MJ.
I'm just a neighbor from across the hall.
Friendly neighbor.
and it's been advertised by PlayStation 5. So, guys, are you going to go see Spider-Man? What is it called? Brand New Day. Fuzzy says, I still haven't seen the last Spider-Man movie. So, Fuzzy, I really enjoyed the last Spider-Man movie. If you're a Spider-Man fan, there's no excuse you're not going to see that movie. By now, you know what the big Easter egg is in that movie. Is the fact that all 3 Spider-Mans are in it. And they're brilliant. And they're not Easter eggs. They are part of the story, which is what makes that movie so good. The movie is okay. If it didn't have that thing, it would be an okay movie. It would be an okay standalone Marvel movie. But having all 3 Spider-Mans in it really blew me away, and it made it one of the best Marvel movies I had seen since Endgame. Highly recommend if you haven't seen. Okay, we've read that. Ty says Spider-Man trailer actually looks good if they had scrapped everything after Endgame and just did Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. I agree with you, Ty, to a very large degree. I think that after Endgame they should have started with Fantastic Four, because there's this silly notion that Fantastic Four cannot sell as a franchise, and it absolutely can, but it has to be the main event. It can't be the side dish. And then when they used Fantastic Four this time, it was the side dish to a whole bunch of stuff that didn't work. That's why it didn't work. Fantastic Four can work as your first thing after the MCU, after Avengers Endgame, but they didn't go that direction, unfortunately. So I agree a large extent to what you said. So, guys, are you excited for the upcoming Spider-Man Brand New Day? Do you think we're in for a year? Because I spoke to Ty a little bit earlier about this. Do you think we're in a year for resurgence for superhero movies, starting with Supergirl, which we're gonna try and play again? But let's move on to another one before we go back to Supergirl, and then you guys will tell me what you think of this one. And again, it's also gaming adjacent. And spoiler alert right now, this is a huge part of my childhood. This particular franchise was very formative, and I'm pretty sure that you guys grew up with this as well. I'm almost 100% sure that this is. Oh, this was a big deal when you were coming up. Where is it? There we go. I think this is the original trailer. I'm gonna play the latest one, but I'll start with the original trailer. Num 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 num. There we go. Understand. You know this franchise. It is a very, very, very prominent franchise. Yeah, a lot of us grew up with this, and this was the thing when we were coming up.
That stuff that only exists in legends and bedtime stories. Talking tigers, spaceships, and magic swords that can make a man as mighty as a god. Where I come from, that stuff is real. Why did you send me away?
I wanted you to be safe. So I sent you to a place I knew that they'd never find you. There's
this obsession with nerd stuff and sword things, it's not a good look for human resources.
I know it sounds crazy, but that sword is gonna show me the way home.
Sir, you can't do that.
Don't worry, the sword's mine.
Hang on, it's about to get weird.
What am I supposed to do? Take the sword. You protect them.
I have the power.
I have the power!
Oh, yeah. Come on, Fuzzy. Okay, cool. Sorry. Like, I think again there's something fucked with my video. I'll see if I can find another version of this. But like, ain't no ways this looks bad, Fuzzy, by any measure.
If we have a girl.
Let's see. I just watched that. Sorry, I was watching it on the YouTube while I was playing it, but I noticed that the stream was not great on the main thing. Let's see if I can't get that's actually the original trailer. Let's see if I can't get the latest trailer and play it for you guys. But like, am I the only one that's looking forward to He-Man? Does everybody else agree with Fuzzy that He-Man looks bad? Really? I don't want to believe it. He-Man can't be bad. How is it bad? Shit. Let's close some of these. Close this here. Come on, what the fuck? There we go. Let's see. Okay, let's try this again. I just want to show you guys the full trailer. It shouldn't take too long. So there we go. It's done. So this is the latest trailer that I'm gonna play, and I'm pretty sure the quality is gonna. I don't know what the fuck was up with the quality with that one. This one should work perfectly. Please. Tell me, Fuzzy, if you still thinks this looks shit. I think this looks awesome. I think, to me, this looks like a summer blockbuster of Marvel back in Phase 1 days style, right? Go for it, He-Man! Okay, this one is playing properly. There we go.
I know most of you don't remember me.
But
I know all of you.
Idris!
Even though I was stuck light years away on Earth,
there we go.
I never stopped trying to get back home.
Everything changed since you left.
It's all gone. Skeletor took my family.
Tell me this doesn't look as good as
destroyed our world.
It is pretty weapon.
It's all my fault. I know how it feels to fail. Take the sword.
Yeah, but the power great self.
And when you fall, that's your chance to stand tall.
Yeah. Do your thing. Do your thing. Yep.
The universe shall quake in my shadow.
This is my home. I'm gonna fight for it. But I can't do it without you.
Somebody wants to brawl.
I need every man, woman, or whatever that is.
You may have the power, but you're too scared to use it.
Trust me. I know how to use it.
You tell everyone that you're from another planet. It just makes you sound a little very crazy.
Fuzzy, how does this not look awesome, bro? Like, how does... Dude. To me, this is like... This is like, okay, cool. Like, you know what? Not everybody's into the same thing. But I'm just saying that, like, from a movie perspective, if you ever wanted to see Masters of the Universe, you probably saw the Dolph... If you're a Masters of the Universe fan, you saw the Dolph Lundgren 80s rendition. This looks fucking brilliant. But okay, I'll leave it to that. Okay, here's another one that's coming out soon, which is Dune Part 3. Again, adjacent to gaming. Dune is a huge part of the gaming if you played Dune 2000 and Dune Emperor.
Like her mother.
Who's checking out Dune?
What if it's a boy?
I would name him Leto.
Later the second.
So he would have the wisdom of his grandpa.
War feeds on itself. The more I fight, the more our enemies fight back. I'm doing the best I can to protect my family. How did father do it?
Your father never started a war.
I'm not afraid to die. But I must not die. Yet.
I'm convinced they fuck with these encoders because for some reason the quality is not great. Okay, cool. So, anyone interested in seeing Dune? So,
I can't believe our first hit in my team! MJ, come on, pretend like you're not the happiest you've ever...
pretend like we're not happy to see. No, we're not. Okay, cool. So, guys, yeah, that's pretty much us coming to the end of the show. So, what are you saying? Are you interested in? I think a lot of us are gonna go see Spider-Man. So Fuzzy says, Fuzzy says, I've never watched Dune. So Fuzzy, I'm not a Dune fan, right? Generally, like whether it's the books, I like the games because they were Command and Conquer, basically Dune 2000 and Dune Emperor, which were awesome. Never been a fan of the movies. I watched the first movie. I watched some of the second movie, but I couldn't get behind the performances, and they didn't really inspire me to get into it. But overall, it's what's his name? It's Villeneuve. He's the same guy that did Blade Runner 2070 something, the latest one with Ryan Gosling, which was brilliant. So he's a great director. You'll appreciate his art style. You will appreciate his interpretation better than the David Lynch version of Dune. Highly recommend watching the Dune movies, even though they're not my type of movies. Highly recommend them because visually they're great spectacles. You're not gonna walk away from that movie feeling that you've lost time because of just how beautiful they look. If you've ever played the games or read the book and